Hello, you guys. Okay, I don't want to make this long, but a couple of men came through, which obviously, men, you are always welcome. This channel, I want everybody, um, male and female, I should say, both sexes, to feel welcome here. But a couple of men came through, and I found their comments to be really interesting. I did have one man try to come on the panel yesterday when we were talking about the Nikita Dragon thing or the day before whenever we did that panel. And I didn't let any men up just because sometimes, no offense to you guys derail the conversation a bit. And I like for women to feel comfortable speaking without men coming in and passing judgment. Like amongst ourselves, the older and the younger women can get together and we can talk to each other sometimes. But some of the men did come in the comment section and they said some things that were interesting. And I do want to hear from some men today. Um, Hi, Tyrant Spain. So, hi, Full Circle. So, they came in the comment section. They were talking about, and these are men that frequent my channel. I like them. I enjoy when they participate. They were talking about the way women dress, just basically everything being skin tight, everything being bodycon. And they were also talking about the way that women adorn and carry themselves and how men don't like that essentially, but women keep doing it. And I'm going to keep it real. And like I said, I want to hear from the men today. Men who say things like this are full of crap. I'm just going to be honest. You guys are full of crap. You're full of crap. I just really, it gets my goat. And I'm not saying that I disagree. Okay. I'm not saying that bodycon hasn't gotten out of control. I'm not saying that I disagree about the hair makeup conversations necessarily. What I'm saying is that men are hypocrites. You guys are hypocrites overwhelmingly, and not every single one of you, but the majority of you are hypocrites. And I know the majority of you are hypocrites because the sex industry, the pornography industry, when you flip through your Facebook, your Instagram, and half the women are bent over backwards, when every single advertisement is sexualizing a woman's body, they aren't doing this for other women, right? Advertisement approaches women, female sexuality different when it approaches men and when it approaches women. When it approaches men, it portrays women as sexual objects. The things that most men masturbate to, the women that most men, it catches their eye, the women that most men, when they're on social media, they're fixated on, are the very type of women that they criticize. And I do not care for Meg the Stallion. I think I'm not saying she's not talented. I'm saying that she pushes a homosexual agenda and I don't have time for her crap. But that little video she made, that video that I genuinely hate, the one thing in that video that made a good point was when the guy went to make a nasty comment about a music video where women were exposing themselves and then went to masturbate to it. This is the hypocrisy of men. This is why sometimes, as women, and I want the men to understand this, it's difficult for us to take what you guys say seriously because men want to be able to live within a double standard. And they do not value women's minds and they do not value women as human beings enough to understand that women overwhelmingly have an issue with the double standard, which is you can be attracted to, masturbate to, talk sexually about women's bodies. You can do all of that. And then in the same breath, pass judgment on a woman that looks like that. The same woman that you spread your seed for, right? The same woman that gets your penis erect is the same type of woman that you are disgusted with. You don't want to see her in her tight clothes with her push up bra and her short skirt and twerking, but you will sit and masturbate to a whole twerking video, right? You'll sit and watch pornography. You'll sit and flip through Instagram and look at women who are subjugating themselves sexually and things like that for your pleasure. right? Overwhelmingly, men do this. They carry this double standard, right? They carry this double standard. They will say, this is not the behavior I want out of a wife, but these are the women that I will give attention to. These are industries that make billions upon billions of dollars a year off of men's lusts. And then men will say, well, we keep telling women we don't like this, and yet they keep doing this. I literally heard a man describe women like this as women who have a sex body, that you lust so hard for it, you can't. This is a man describing it. He said, you lust so hard for it. Granted, he's a dorky, stupid man, but nevertheless, I'm not going to say he wasn't telling the truth. He said, men look at these women and they're overwhelmed with sexual lust for them. And then after they've had their orgasm, they're like, why am I here and what am I doing? And it's just like, men want women to eat this hypocrisy and just accept it as the status quo. Just accept that they are sexually overwhelmingly attracted to a certain aesthetic and type of woman. And while they beat their meat to a certain aesthetic, they want women to also accept their judgment about how they should not carry that aesthetic. And like I said, I'm not disagreeing that there's a place for modesty. I think I even could be more modest. I'm not disagreeing that the hair and the makeup is over the top. I agree that it's over the top, right? I'm not disagreeing that there are more desirable ways, especially considering how valuable women are, that we should carry ourselves as women than others. But the difference between me saying it and a man saying it is I'm not getting aroused by the very thing that I'm criticizing. Right? I'm not walking in hypocrisy. I'm not lusting after an aesthetic and then judging women for having that aesthetic. I want to have this conversation. I want it to be an honest conversation, and I hope some men come up because I know the women are going to come up and agree. Absolutely. These men are judging us. We can't do anything right, but at the same time, pornography industry is making ton of money. They will literally get hard at any woman who bends over and jiggles her butt fat. Like I know the women are going to agree with this, but I want to hear from the men. Why is it that men, right? Just as comfortable as men are when I go in on the women, you guys are very comfortable with being in agreement with that. I want some honesty today. I want to know if we're going to get some honesty out of the men, that you are hypocrites, and that what you're really asking is that women accept your hypocrisy, that women don't react to what you overwhelmingly react to, what billions upon billions of dollars are made every year off of what you truly like, off of what you truly lust after, but then you come behind women and you pass judgment. And again, this is not me disagreeing with some of the things that men say are problematic with women. I agree with a lot of those things. I just don't think that you get to say that things are problematic, that you don't like a certain hair or a certain makeup or a certain type of clothing on a woman, and then get to run off into the dark recesses of your closet and beat your meat to that same kind of woman. I'm saying that if men want women to take them seriously when they claim they have a standard, that they be consistent across the board with this standard. Men want their cake and they want to eat it too. They want to enjoy the very aesthetic that they put down. And again, I'm going to feel safe in saying most men behave this way. Because if most men did not behave this way, there would not be billions of dollars made and a whole society built around the exploitation of women's bodies. A half naked woman makes money whether she's selling a hamburger or a porn video. And there's a reason for that. And it's not because most men don't have a double standard. So I just feel like if we're going to have this conversation, let's have it. If the men want to feel comfortable judging us and telling us what we should and shouldn't wear, and I'm not saying what they're saying is wrong. I agree with a lot of what the men are saying. I'm saying that can we agree that women don't take you seriously because we see the double standard? Because we see the double standard, and I'm going to keep it real. Most women don't respect it. They think it's hypocritical. They think it's hypocritical and it makes them not want to listen to you. Because at the end of the day, if they put on their short skirt and their push-up bra, you're going to foam at the mouth. And that is how women view. You're going to foam at the mouth, get erect, and want to have sex with them while at the same time saying that they're a trash person. That level of double standard. And I feel that men are not overwhelmingly checking each other on this. Men are just literally going about as if this double standard is totally okay, that nothing is wrong with this. And I don't want men to be, because you know how some of you guys get, oh my gosh, she hates men, and think you guys know I don't hate men. I believe in male leadership. But here's the thing. I believe in male leadership so much that I refuse to sit here and promote male leadership while men sit there and not lead. Men are saying women should carry themselves to a certain standard, but you are aroused by, put your money toward, put your semen toward a different standard than you want us to carry ourselves at. If men are going to lead as they should, then I'm going to need you guys to actually lead. Not just talk about what you want, but exemplify that in your behavior. That is why women don't want to listen to male criticism, because I'm going to keep it real. A lot of women see you guys as hypocrites. So let's have the question. Let's have the conversation. Let's have the conversation, right? Let's have the conversation. Are any men going to come up here and agree or disagree, or at least own up to the fact that you guys have a double standard? Try to make it all make sense. What men really want is they want a group of women who are disposable sexual assets and to have control over them. And they want a group of women who are controlled sexual assets and have control over them. And they want to be able to bash one group of women while having sex with them, while holding another group of women to a certain standard and creating lives with them. And that is the reason why our community cannot progress, because of the double standard of the leaders. Because they are expecting women to filter through their inability to pick a side and stand on that square. They want to ride the middle ground. They want to be lukewarm about it because they don't want to give up the whoredom. But they want to be able to judge the whoredom. They want to indulge in the whoredom and judge the whoredom at the same time. And this is why our community will not progress. Let's talk about the leaders of the community. Let's talk about if you believe in male leadership. I'm a very traditional person. I believe in traditional male leadership. A lot of women don't. Many women do. I'm one of the women that do. But at the same time, hypocrisy and leadership do not go hand in hand. They don't. You cannot uphold and desire and indulge in a standard you claim to hate and then expect women, you want to preserve both, right? They want to preserve both. They want to go to the whorehouse and then criticize the whore and still have a select group of women that they marry and bear children with. They want both types of women to exist while being able to talk trash about either or. And this is why our community cannot get anywhere, because it's sending a double message and they're expecting women to filter through their insanity. And this is not right. Let's just have the conversation about it, because men came under the Nikita Dragon video and tried to bring this up, and I had to keep it real. You guys create the double standard. And no matter which side of the coin a woman falls on, she cannot win, because they will not pick a side and stand on that square. They will not, because I don't know. I need to know why. I need a man to come up here and tell me why. Hey, what are your thoughts on this?
Yo, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Living life. You're absolutely correct. Here's the double standard. And the reason this is because men want to have that men want to have that fantasy made available to them without being married. You know what I'm saying? They want to have access to women in that regard, where they can just do whatever they want with them. And then when they get married, they want to marry a woman who's decent, modest, and doesn't do all that. That is extra, seeking attention, using their body or whatnot. So it's absolutely a double standard. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the sex part too, because I was just
oh yeah,
talking about aesthetics, but it's even with the sex. I've heard
oh
men
yeah,
say they will not be with a woman if she does not have sex with them before marriage, but those same men will shame a woman if she's had sex with too many men. It's like if she withholds her body, you say you're not going to be with her, but if she is promiscuous, you're going to put her down for having sex with too many people.
that's just
It's
their insecurity.
insanity.
That's just their insecurities. Because the more sex women have, the bigger the penis they probably enjoy. You know what I mean? If you have sex with 100 men, the odds are you had sex with a dude with quite a few dudes that had huge penises, and so men get insecure about that. Like, yo, you loosening it up. You know what I mean? They have a misconception about how the vagina works, so they get insecure. So of course, if women have a lot of sexual partners, they're gonna be intimidated. They're not gonna know if they can, uh, you know, meet the standard. You know what I mean? So, I mean that's easy right there. For myself, I never really cared about that because I felt like the more experience a woman had, the better the sexual experience was going to be. But at the same time, I understand one to save yourself from marriage, but it doesn't really work if one person saved themselves from marriage and another partner had a bunch of sexual partners. You know what I mean? Because
I
one
agree.
one person has expectations and the other one doesn't know what to expect. You know
I
what I mean?
agree, but I'll tell you, I'll say this. I think that it could be, I don't know about if it's worried about it getting stretched out and like penis, insecurity and stuff like that. But I will say, I
Right.
do think men just want two groups of women. They want a group of whores that they can have sex with and enjoy and watching videos and party with. They want a group of whores and they want to also be able to do all the fun stuff that they like to do with those whores but they don't want but they also want to be able to bash them, to talk trash about them. They want to be able to have sex with them and then drag them at the end of the day. And then they want a second group of women that are the wives who are chaste and perfect and just tolerate being ignored for the whores for years and years and years until some man wants to come around and value them as a wife. And I just
Right.
think this is why the community is in shambles and women don't know which way is up. And let's just keep it real. Although women say they don't do things for male approval, that's a lie. Ladies, we
Oh
do
yeah.
stuff for male approval. That just is what it is. Chris, what are your
Absolutely.
thoughts?
Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. All right. Let me figure out a way to premise this question because I feel like the topic is more of a vent than an actual intellectual conversation. Now, what are you talking about, men? Are you talking about black men? What men are you talking about here?
I mean, I don't think it really matters. I think the standard applies to all men. And I do think it's an intellectual conversation because the reality is the proof is in the pudding. The sexual industry and the sale of women's bodies in all things from overt sexual sale of imagery, of sexual imagery of women for the purposes of masturbation down to selling a hamburger are done through the exploitation of scantily clad and sexualized women. And that is not being done because that's not something that men desire. The argument that men were making under my last video, where I was talking about women having poor standards for their hair and makeup and things like that, was that they wanted to co sign it by saying women keep doing things that we don't want them to do. They wear tight clothes. We don't want them to wear that. They wear certain types of makeup and hair, and we don't want them to wear that. And my argument is, yes, you guys do like that. You not only do you like it, you indulge in it for sexual purposes. You want to be able to indulge in the very thing that you criticize, while at the same time having a reserved section of women who do not engage in any of that behavior. And I'm saying that it's hypocritical. Now, what part of
Oh,
that is not intellectual or is inaccurate?
what is inaccurate is I do not sense that you are situating the conversation within the premise of cultural context. All right, if you want to talk about American women, you want to talk about Indian women, European women, the standards are different. And when you talk
Well,
about,
we're in America, so let's talk about American women.
all right,
But
so
in
in
Europe, women are
America,
in Europe, just to throw it out there, women are also heavily sexualized. In places like the Middle East, where women are more covered, there are underground there are underground clubs where men still engage in these behaviors. In fact, they have little boys dress as scantily clad women and dance for them in those cultures. So whether they push this underground or whether it is above ground, this is a universal behavior globally. But we can stick to America just to kind of hone it in.
oh, okay, I'll stick to America where your topic says the hypocrisy, right? Hypocrisy goes across, it cuts across both ends. Men and women are hypocritical. We do, human beings are ironical in the sense that you can do evil and still be good and still do good things, right? So you premising the conversation is a little bit, how would I put it? Fallacious, saying that, oh, well, the reason why women don't do this is because men don't do that. Well, if you go by that premise of morality, then nobody is fit to lead anybody, because you can't say, oh, a leader can't lead because you're hypocritical. You got to look at the context, right? For example, you don't speak this way to a policeman, right? Do you know why? Because the policeman has power. You don't talk that to a military person because you know the consequences of it. So what you're talking about is when it comes to leadership, I don't think it has anything to do with sexual morality, so to say. It just has to do with being effective. So yeah, men can still be whores and still be good leaders. So what has that got to do with anything?
Okay, so what the topic is it hypocritical to engage in the maintenance of whoredom in
Okay.
women and then criticize women for dressing and behaving like the very thing that you indulge in? That's the question. And when I brought up
Okay.
male leadership, I said, as leaders, right,
Hmm.
who create the climate for men, women, and children, if
Right.
you want to promote women carrying themselves a certain way, but in the same breath, you want to engage in the culture and support the culture of women engaging in a way that you claim you don't like, but you
Hmm.
still engage in, that is hypocritical. And that is what is the problem with how women, if they're carrying themselves incorrectly, the problem is with male leadership. Men who have a double standard and are hypocritical in the way that they maneuver with women. They engage in whoredom with women that they claim are substandard, right? They claim they don't like the bodycon dresses. They claim they don't like the weaves down to the floor. They claim they don't like the fake eyelashes. They claim they don't like the augmented bodies. They want natural women who are somewhat wholesome, who wear minimal makeup, who wear their own hair. This is the claim. But that's not who they're masturbating to. That's not who they're looking at on Instagram. That's not who they're whoring their bodies out to. But then they want to judge women for pandering to where men put their lust. I'm saying the hypocrisy is causing the breakdown of the sexes because men ultimately are the leaders and men ultimately set the standard. If you want to accept leadership role, then you have to accept that a lapse in your leadership can lead to a breakdown of the gender hierarchy. Are you disagreeing with that?
If you go on the person to person, argument based on a family structure, I would agree with you. But if you're doing it, okay, if we do a macro and a micro, right? This is how I usually look at things at the micro level and at the macro level, right? If you're talking about family values, family structure, how cultures break, like on the micro level, right? I might agree with you, right? But when you're dealing with this whole cultural thing, no, this is controlled by forces larger than any man can handle, right? So a man doesn't control the media. A man doesn't
And
control.
men do literally control the media. What
But-
are you
but-
talking
hold
about?
on. When you say men, right? So that's why I'm trying to premise this conversation, right? Because when you're talking about men, right, and things that happen in society,
You're saying
you talk,
black men don't control the media.
yeah, we don't control the
Okay,
media.
okay.
So
So
you
so
out
I
there,
want to I want to say this cuz somebody was in the back. Whoever was in the back, I wasn't able to let you up. I also want to say that when we talk about what black men do and don't control, you may not control something, but you control what you indulge in 110%. Moreover, you may not control something, but men compete with each other. And it's the job of men. If there's a man who comes in your vicinity and he's moving a certain way that you don't like, you don't sit there and go, well, I don't control what he's doing. A lot of men will stop him. If he's violating your space, your family, what you have going on, then they're going to step to that man and correct him and let him know, like, whatever you're doing, you're not about to do that here. But even if that person is not in your vicinity, you can control what you indulge in. I can put anything at your table, but you don't have to eat it. Right. So it's not about what's being set out there. It's about what men are indulging in by choice. What are your thoughts, Better Future?
Hello.
Yes, hi. And Lewis in the back, I'm sorry, for whatever reason I can't bring you up. I don't know what's going on with you, but it won't let me add you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Better Future.
Yeah. What I wanted to say is that because I have friends and they have morals when it comes to themselves, but when it comes to getting other females, they don't respect their own morals. So I would say that men don't respect their morals when it comes to themselves. No, when it comes to themselves, they respect it. But when they
Mhm.
need to get involved in relationship, they kind of put it to the side so they can fulfill their desire. Because
Mm.
my friend can say that what's right, but he will never apply that in a relationship. Much.
I mean,
I
So I
I
feel
think
like
that that's honest. My question is, if men are doing that, then how can there also be an expectation for women to to how can there be an expectation on women if the men are leading and they're having two standards, one standard for when they want to enjoy themselves, another standard for when they're trying to develop a household? How are women supposed to be responsible for navigating around a climate where the men are inconsistent is the question that I would have.
I think it's because there's no
Hi
trust.
Irene.
Hi Javel, how are you?
Good, thank you. I'm from the UK. I just wanted to say that leadership and submission, black male leadership and the idea of submission. So my position is this: if men, particularly black men, want a certain standard, then they have to create the standard. They have to set the standard. If they don't want to promote promiscuity, if they don't like the sexualization of black women or black girls, then they should encourage them young boys to not do so also. It's a double standard. What's his name called? Boosie, that rapper, one of those rappers, said that he would give his a couple years ago he said that he would give his 14-year-old son head for his birthday, and that's seen as fine in our community. But Megan V Stallion gyrating is she's automatically a Jezebel spirit. It has to be. There can't be a double standard.
No, I mean I agree. I agree with that. And I guess my thing is that also causes the pushback in women. I think obviously feminist culture is a white woman's culture, and black women are latching onto it. And I hear in the black community a lot of black men pushing back on this, but it's like the hypocrisy is why women are latching on to feminism. The hypocrisy. I'm just going to keep it real. As a
Can
person
I
with
say something?
conservative and traditional values, the women are attracted to feminism because they see hypocrisy in how the men are handling things. And it makes us unwilling to listen to your critiques because we feel your critiques are disingenuous. So, what can be done about that? Go ahead.
Can I speak?
Of course.
This is Chris. Again, I'm going to return to the premise of my original framing. If you want to have an intellectual conversation about hypocrisy, you got to have it within the context of culture and dynamics. And honestly, my first philosophical argument, first of all, is that men and women are not the same. And I think one of your premises is that, well, men should be held to the same standards as women. And I
Why
don't
would
think
you
so.
wait? I just want you to
The men
qualify.
are not women,
I
so
would
men
like him to
shouldn't be held to.
qualify that. At what point did I say men and women were the same, or that men should be held to the same standards as women? At what point did I ever indicate that since I've started this
No,
live?
I'm implying from your conversation, you're putting risk, like you're saying, men, if men are not consistent with this, so if men are chasing after whores, right? Therefore, women should also behave like whores. If men are lying, therefore women should also lie.
Okay,
It's like
so you're going off to things I didn't say. So, but let me give an
no, no,
analogy.
I'm not saying you say
No, I
that. I
just
mean,
wait. I
implying.
want to give an analogy because you're going off into things I never made those claims. Here's an analogy. If I'm married, right, and I am, okay, so if every morning my husband wakes up and he says, I want oatmeal with raisins. And so every single morning I wake up and I make him oatmeal with raisins. And then as he's shoveling oatmeal and raisins into his mouth, he's going on about how much he hates oatmeal and raisins. He can't stand oatmeal and raisins. Oatmeal and raisins is not a good breakfast. Why on earth would anybody eat oatmeal and raisins? Everybody hears him saying he doesn't want oatmeal and raisins, and yet people keep serving oatmeal and raisins. And yet every single morning he wakes up and is like, man, I would really love some oatmeal and raisins, babe. Go make me some in the kitchen. That is an insane environment to live in. And it's the same thing with the hypocrisy. If men are saying, we hate these augmented bodies, that weave is terrible. We don't like women who have had sex with a bunch of men. We don't like women who are wearing bodycon clothing all the time. But in the same breath, the women that men are masturbating to, having sex with, picking up when they go out on the streets are women in bodycon clothing with weave, lashes, and modified bodies, then women are looking at this like, okay, so you hate all this stuff, but there's billions of dollars being spent on this stuff by men who desire it. But
But
this is who you're getting pregnant. But this is who you're comparing us to. But this is so the hypocrisy makes it an impossible environment to function in. This is not me comparing men and women. Men and women are not the same. I hold men to a higher standard
because they're
because
leaders.
I believe exactly because they're leaders. So when I'm looking to my leadership and you're telling me to make you oatmeal and raisins every day, but then you're complaining that oatmeal and raisins is bad, I'm confused. Why do you keep asking me to make it? Why do you keep desiring to eat it if that's
I,
not what you want?
Irene,
Irene, can
oh,
I
sorry.
just respond real quick to that, and then I'll let the other people respond. Is again, I think you're conflating different issues because you just give an example, right? And my retort to that would be the same thing. Yes, there is room for hypocrisy in a culture where men, a certain group of men, don't have access to power. I say it again. There is room for hypocrisy where a certain group of men do not have access to power. If I work in corporate America, that like I did for 10 plus years, right? I know I have to be a different person when I'm in the office, right? As opposed to when I'm at home, I'm dealing with different kinds of people, right? And that's a real phenomenon in the United States. People have to change and upgrade and downgrade and switch up and switch off behavior based on the environment they see themselves. You can't call that hypocrisy.
Can I ask
Hypocrisy
the
is part.
question? When you were in corporate America and you
Yeah,
engaged in this wearing the mask, right? You did it
correct.
because you had people in authority over you that you had to be sure that you were capable of working with and vibing with to maintain your job, right?
I had to do it so I could fit into the environment that I'm in,
Right.
not
Okay.
necessarily being afraid of anybody. Yes,
So
correct.
this is what I'm saying. When you're leading as a man in a community, not at a job, you aren't beholden, right? Nobody's going to say, "Oh, well, man, you can't be a leader as a man if you don't go bang out that Instagram thought." That's not realistic. I think it's a false equivalency, and
N-
if I walked around my house smacking my kids in the head all the time, and just beating my kids in the head, and then telling my kids, like, when somebody does something wrong, knock them in the head. But the minute one of my kids goes and whacks somebody in the face, I scream at them and tell them, that's wrong, you don't hit people, that's not okay. And they're going to go, but mom, you hit us and you told us to hit people when they do something we don't like. Why are you
But
screaming at
Irene,
me now? Why are you screaming at me now that I am doing the very thing that you're promoting? Right?
but
i
Irene,
think i
you
think it's
the
a
same
false
example.
equivalency.
Okay, you saying the same thing I'm saying. I'm saying that you're using false equivalent examples, and I'm telling you you're doing the same thing because in the same
But
breath,
you're talking about going into a corporate structure where you have authority over you. I'm saying
Oh,
you navigating at the top of the food chain as a man in
uh,
social relationships with women, not in a job where you might have several people over you. At the end of the day, if me and you are in a room together, I am a woman, I am 5'2". Who has the power in that situation, me or you?
what power are you talking about? Power over
Any
what?
just ultimate
Mental
power.
power, physical
Oh,
power.
period.
Authority,
Period.
influence.
Period. At the end of the day, if we have a beef and I am me, Irene, 5'2", and you are you, and we're in a room
Okay,
together and we have a beef, who
right.
can for sure be the ultimate authority in that beef? Nine
Depending
times
on
out
my
of
level,
10.
I cannot judge that situation
The
based.
dude,
I
bro.
would say
Typically, the
Let's
dude.
It's a
keep it
man.
real.
It's a
Men, no,
The
man.
no, we're
dude
not
got
going to
the
do this.
power.
Men, you know what it is. And I know women don't like it when I call it out like this, but even if I am smarter than a man, even if I'm right, at the end of the day, he has the ultimate power to do what he wants to do because I can't physically stop him. So at the end of the day, men are the ultimate authority, and
Facts.
your behavior affects how those people who cannot overcome you will move and shake. And for you to say that my hypocrisy does not affect my leadership is beyond me. But I'm interested to hear from the other men on the panel.
Yeah. Can I
I
speak?
think
All right. Let me
Of
let me
course.
speak. Let me chime in. Let me chime. All right. Men have been consistent in regards to sex from childhood. At least I have been. Okay. We all wanted y'all to bust it open from early. Okay. Don't pretend like you ain't no men wanted sex. Every one of y'all know men been want sex. The thing is, y'all was the one that's being picky about who you was giving sex to. Some of y'all was having sex with guys. Only that you thought was cute or having sex with bad boys and shit. That's why a lot of dudes have they complaint. Now, as time progressed, men started to see how women act. Okay, some of y'all want more monogamy, so some niggas is gonna pretend to be monogamous and all that. But at the end of the day, we've been consistent. It's y'all the one that's being hypocritical and being funny with the pussy. That's really the
Bro,
fact.
So
bro,
wait,
why are we?
wait.
Young East,
Bro,
can I
why?
ask you something? Young
Yeah,
East.
yeah.
So are you saying that women are in charge of you?
No, I'm saying women have agency over their own bodies, and we
No,
acquiesce.
but you're
That's
saying,
stupid,
yeah,
man.
you're saying that men are acquiescing to the movements and shakings of
Yes,
women. So
we not going to take it from you.
Young East, so you're saying that women have control over men. That's your argument.
Yeah, sexually, we're not
Okay.
going to take it from you. We want you to give us sex. We don't want to take it from you. You see
But
what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about
What the hell
even
are we?
complaint. I said, but I've said it, I've been saying this from the beginning. I'm talking about even complaints about how women carry themselves. But at the end of the day, you're
Let's stick
saying
with one.
that whatever women do, men will follow. So, okay, that's an
Mm-hmm.
argument. Is that really, and a lot of women are arguing this point too. So you might want to be careful with this. A lot of women are now coming forward and saying men are not leaders. So
We
women should
not
be in charge of men.
we
A lot of
in
women
the
are
realm
saying this.
in the realm of sex. Let's
Irene,
stick
can
with
I
one
can I
topic.
say
Let's
something?
stick with
What?
one topic. In the realm of sex, we not go
Exactly.
full. Hold
No, we're
on,
not
bro.
gonna everything is not
Let's
no,
stick.
No,
Now
I
we
don't want to
changing up.
degrade it. I don't want to degrade it to just being about sex
We changing up. Okay.
because
Yeah.
we're
All
not
right.
Well,
changing up because
Yeah, we is.
I started
Whoa,
this
whoa, wait.
conversation.
Wait a
I
minute.
start
How
go
sorry,
ahead.
Irene.
Irene,
No,
are
go
you
How are
ahead.
we
there?
telling Irene what we gonna change up and not change up when she brought the subject? Y'all ain't even talking about what she's talking about. You
She
talking
was
about
talking
corporate
about
America?
the hypocrisy behind men's sexuality, and that's what I was speaking to. And
No,
since I
the
was
men's
making a point,
sexuality in
all of
what?
a sudden we changing up.
Behind men's sexuality in what?
You did you not listen to her? She was
I'm
talking
asking
about
you. I'm
man,
asking you.
some men
brother.
want wives, some men want hoes, some men want wives. She talking about men be
I
saying they
wasn't.
want
But
high.
no, you're
All right,
fixated on the sex part. I said it's not
Yeah.
just that. The first thing I
all right.
mentioned was the
Oh my
way
God.
women carry themselves, how they wear their hair, the clothing that they wear, everything about a woman. There is a claim of what men do and don't like, and then there's what men are engaging in and sexually attracted to and
Yes.
physically attracted to.
So you're not
Mm-hmm.
just talking about sex. You're talking about standards that we're placing on
Right.
women
Overall
that we
standards
don't
for
apply
women.
to
Can we be more
Exactly.
ourselves when we
specific?
beat our meat.
Can we be more
Yeah.
specific, please?
I
Can we?
How, that's not specific enough.
No, it's
I
not.
Now,
That's
mean
bro.
it's
that is
pretty
vague.
clear to
Let's
me.
speak. Let's
It's
speak
pretty,
to one issue. It's
but
Yes.
that's
vague.
the that is the one issue. It just
What's the one
Well,
involves
issue?
two different parts. It's multifaceted. It's a multifaceted
Okay.
issue.
Bring up one facet.
No, why are we
Exactly,
bringing up one
nigga.
facet?
Exactly, nigga. Exactly.
Oh,
Keep it on
why
one
are we bringing up one
topic.
facet? You can't shoot guns off one.
How the
You
hell
can't
we gonna solve
shoot
the
guns and walk at
problem
the same
without
time.
bringing? How we gonna solve the problem?
How are we gonna solve the problem? Men need
Yeah,
to step up
we
and
tackling one
check those
issue at a
cats that are
time,
being
bro.
hypocrites. Men need to
What?
step up and check men
Okay,
that are being hypocrites.
let's speak to the hypocrisy. Can we do that?
But the hypocrisy, usually when there's hypocrisy, there's multiple things involved that makes you hypocrite.
Okay, we gotta do it one at a time. What is wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
Oh
Wait.
my God! Never
Oh, so
mind. Yeah, you got all right.
you controlling the panel now? I don't think
Yeah,
so, Pippin.
I'm
You
controlling the panel.
you
Yeah,
control nothing over here,
yeah.
Pippin.
Hey,
You
peace and
All
control
right.
nothing
blessings,
over
everybody.
here.
How you doing,
All I'm
Irene?
saying
You
is, what
and
I'm
shit.
saying is,
Hi, how are you? What are your thoughts on this, the esoteric therapist? What are your thoughts on, and let me just reiterate what the topic is.
Okay.
This all began because when I did my video on Nikita Dragon, the man who dresses as a woman and portrays himself as a woman, and I told the ladies that we have adopted some of these kind of drag queen concepts. And there were men who came under that video to kind of co-sign what I was saying by saying women are wearing clothes that are too tight, women are wearing weave, and women are wearing all this makeup, and we don't like it, and women aren't listening to us. And my response was, but you guys do like it because you
Okay.
show that you like this aesthetic. You show this is attractive to you by where you put your money and attention and sexual energy. And
Okay.
so for women, it seems hypocritical and
Hmm.
it's not an environment conducive to us following male leadership when the men are claiming to not want one thing, but at the same time desiring and engaging in that thing.
Okay. Well, all right. Let me shed a logical point on this. In all retrospect, it is a lot of hypocrisy that goes on with it because a lot of times, not all, but a lot of times, that's why you have a lot of men that go to strip clubs. You know, a lot of men have fetishes. Now, I think what a lot of men are not saying when they say this, they're saying they like to look at that and jack off to it or do whatever. But I guess they're saying, well, that's not the type of woman I want to marry. But then again, the hypocrisy goes, well, Why are these men having babies, with these types of women, but then complaining about the same women that they had children with? And I agree with that. That's another hypocrisy that goes on because of one thing. A lot of males, not men, have what we call they want instant gratification instead of delayed gratification, and that's something that is not taught to a lot of young men in their early 20s and 30s. That's just my take.
Well, at least
You
we
make
can
the same
agree that there's
arguments, bro.
hypocrisy.
Bro,
Yeah, at
bro.
least we can agree that there's hypocrisy there. But then my question is, why are women,
Mhm.
how are we
Okay.
expected to function in an environment of hypocrisy? And why are we being judged for any actions that we are taking that are pleasing or displeasing to men when men are inconsistent in their message and in their leadership and in their example?
Well, the thing is, about that, I mean, do your own thing. If that's what you want to do, and you feel that it's not impeding on your moral compass or your integrity, then by all means, do you. I mean, we're in a free country. I mean,
But
if
that's
that's
not
how
what.
you want.
That's not.
But
What, what,
I
That's
guess
not.
my
what,
conversation obviously is coming from a place of I believe in, and many of the women in this conversation is not going to help disagree with me on this. I believe in male leadership. So
I
my
agree with that.
question is,
Yes.
and a lot of men want to promote male leadership. I'm just opening up the discussion as to why male leadership is not working. Even for somebody like me who believes in
Hmm.
it, I'm looking at it and I can see why it's problematic. If there is overarching hypocrisy in our leaders, that's not an environment conducive to somebody being led, because you never know what to really do because the message and the behavior of your leaders is constantly inconsistent and shifting.
Ain't
So
no
it, it,
hypocrisy.
I mean,
Now let me
comment real
okay.
Irene,
quickly.
Now let me ask you this,
Y'all just
Irene.
gotta
When you say
follow.
when,
Irene, I
when you
just
say
want to
male
learn something
leaders,
else.
hold on. Let me say this one thing, sir, and then I'll let you have it.
Okay.
Irene, will you clarify this for me? When you say male leaders, who like what, male leaders where? Because there are male
We're all
leaders,
leaders.
as far as like your husband. I'm a husband. Male leaders in schools. What leaders are you speaking of?
well, I think at the end of the day, when I say male leadership, I think it speaks for itself. The entire world is ran by men, down to the familial level and the communal level, right? So the world is run by men. I don't think any man can honestly deny that. Most of the world leaders are men. Most of the people
Hmm.
that run this country are men. Most people that
True.
run corporations are men. Men are
Hmm.
leaders. Right.
True.
But within the Black community, we have a microcosm of that. So men are leaders overall, and then every
Hmm.
community is led by its men. So if we bring
Okay.
it down to the Black communal level,
Hmm.
regardless of whether a man is a trash man or a politician, he's still a leader. And so when collectively men as a collective behave in ways that are consistently hypocritical, that affects the overall people that they are leading and how they are moving too. So my
Okay.
question is, are men who understand that they have a double standard then going to accept the responsibility of the breakdown of the people underneath them and how they are behaving based on the double standard that they're living in?
Of
Well, that's
course.
that. Well, that I mean, that answer right there is a no. That's not gonna ever change. No.
No, okay, can I make a comment real quick, Irene, please? You talk about
Sure.
men leadership, right? Just like you could talk about the elite or small percentage of men that have sexual access to top tier women, right?
This is
You
nothing with
from
women.
from the beginning, I've always said you got to premise your conversation on specifics. Specificity is important here. You're talking
This
about
is
men, this man.
actually,
No,
wait,
This is
please,
good.
please, wait,
hold
no,
on,
wait,
Women can.
wait, one second. No, please, just everybody. This is proving my point. When men say top tier women, they are specifically 99.9% of the time speaking about a physical aesthetic. But then when women put all their
no,
stock in physical aesthetics, because when I hear top tier woman described, nothing about who she is as a person is brought up other than her physicality. This kind of
Yeah.
base
that's not true.
thinking, this kind of base
No, that's not true.
conversation
You're
is
assuming
exactly
what I'm
why
saying. I'm
women
telling you.
Is exactly why. And then when women put a
No, but
heavy amount
you
of emphasis, wait a
allow me to
second, let me
close the
finish, please.
conversation.
Please allow me to finish. When women put a heavy emphasis on their physical appearance and then fail to cultivate other aspects of their personality, because what is constantly being reinforced is physicality, 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 then men will say it's not enough to be pretty. These are the types of hypocrisies and double standards I'm talking about. What do you mean by top tier women? And why are we having a
Can
conversation about select men who have access to
I
top tier
respond?
women? What is a top tier woman?
Can I
Because a select man
Okay,
is
hold
not a
on.
man with money. A select man is not a man with money. It's like you are making my point as you speak.
Irene, can I finish? You jumped in over my conversation, and now I can't even gather my thoughts anymore. Hold up. Let's go back to what you said. You keep talking about men and leadership, right? It's only about 5% of men that rule the whole world. So that
All
argument
men
is
are
null and void.
leaders. You
Okay,
don't understand. Do you really not
Oh
understand?
my
This is no, this
God.
is very scary.
hold on.
Men are in a
Hold
leadership
on. Let me
position.
finish.
Some men
All
have
men
more
are
power than
leaders.
others.
All men are not leaders.
No,
You're
all
making a
men are
false
not good. No, no,
argument.
no,
Right.
wait a
So
second.
you
Wait a
talking about
second.
men.
Wait a second.
Let's get
Please,
down to what you're
please
talking
wait
about.
a
You
second.
talking about power, right?
Wait a
Hold
sec.
on.
You don't understand what leadership is then. Because
No,
there
hold
could
on.
be no,
No. I'm
stop
breaking
for
it
a
down to
second.
you. You are confused.
I
Put it
really
together.
need you to stop for a second, please.
I stop for you to make a conversation.
What you are
Talk-
saying, wait a second. What you are saying is going to do a lot of damage to male female dynamics. There could be a man who his only job is cleaning toilets, right? He has no political power. He may not make a lot of money, but he may be a good man who leads his household. He leads his wife, he leads his kids. Every man has the potential to be a leader. And a lot of men are bad leaders. They might lead in crappy ways, like Little Bootsy, like the brother brought up. He's a leader too, even though he's not worth crap. But every man is a leader. Now, whether he's exemplifying trash mess that's going to raise trash people and cultivate trash women and children, or whether he's a good and effectual leader are different. But it's a very scary thing to hear a man speak and say all men are not leaders. All
No,
men are
all men.
leaders, but all men are
I
not
mean,
good leaders. All men do
I'm
not have, oh,
telling you that
maybe
all
what
men
you,
cannot be
wait, let
leaders.
me finish. Maybe what you view as a leader, maybe what you view as a leader is somebody who has power, money, and influence over a large amount
Allow
of
me to
people.
finish.
Maybe you don't,
Yes, yes.
wait a second. Well, that's unfortunate because most of the leadership
Allow
that
me
is
to talk.
done,
Yes.
most of the
There you go. Let her
leadership
talk, man.
Power.
most of the leadership that is done is not done at that level. Most leadership is done on an intimate person to person level. And as a
That's what
woman,
I
I
said.
don't think I should have to explain that to you.
And that's what I said, Irene. I said, do
And
you want to have
you shouldn't have to
a
explain that to
micro
a group of
or do you
men.
want to have a macro discussion? I made that distinction at the beginning of this conversation. I said, do you want to talk about microeconomics or you want to talk about macro culture? And you talking back and forth. If you want to be specific about men in their family home structure, let's talk about that. But you want to talk about men in society and culture and all that stuff, you're conflating issues. And I
No,
just
you're
said it.
being
If you want,
disingenuous because I started
hold
this
on, hold on.
conversation about
Let me finish.
interpersonal behavior. No, I started
Interpersonal
this
behavior.
conversation
That's what we're
specifically
talking
speaking
about.
about. I specifically started this conversation speaking about interpersonal behavior and how, when masses of men engage in hypocritical interpersonal behavior, it has an overarching effect on the community. That has been the conversation since the
Yeah,
beginning.
but Irene, the conversation that you're making is not strictly interpersonal. You're dealing with cultural dynamics and
No.
American
Oh my
cultural
Are we
goodness,
dynamics.
struggling to get
darling.
specific?
I literally just said how, when I spoke of interpersonal behavior and how, when masses of men engage in a certain type of hypocritical interpersonal behavior, it
That's culture.
causes an overarching problem with the
What part of
community.
interpersonal behavior are you talking about
It's
specifically?
not interpersonal,
So
Irene. It's
Then she need to
specifically,
cultural.
spell it
Hey,
out for
yo,
us.
all right, man, let her talk, bro.
specifically to reiterate what I was saying, the conversation began when I did my video a couple days ago on Nikita Dragon, saying that Black women were essentially copying transgender and drag queen culture. And I told the ladies, Nikita Dragon is a trash man, but he's right. We are doing that and we should stop. We've allowed men to dictate our beauty standards without realizing it simply because they're gay, right? And there were men who came in the comment section and said, "You're right. We don't like when women wear tight clothes. We don't like when women wear weaves. We don't
What?
like when women wear certain types of makeup." And so this live today was to say that that is a lie. Men do like that aesthetic. They are attracted
Mm-hmm.
to it. They
Mm-hmm.
promote it. Millions and billions of dollars are spent because men like
Mm-hmm.
that.
What's wrong with
However,
that though?
they claim they don't like it because you guys claim you don't. Because if a woman carries herself that way, she's then said that she looks bad, that you don't like the makeup, you don't like the clothes, you don't like that type of woman. But these are the women that men, on one hand, enjoy their aesthetic, want to have sex with, find attractive, put their money toward. But in the same breath, those same men will say, "That's not what I want out of a wife. I want something different out of a wife."
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying
Yeah.
there's a hypocrisy there.
It's not. It's
That,
not really a hypocrisy. It's
go ahead.
listen. When it comes to, let's just take aesthetic. Let's take hair weave. Most men, they just want you to wear your natural hair and wear it beautifully. Now the thing is, you guys substituted the hair weave way too much. Okay, so now dudes are saying, "Ah, I don't like the fakeness of the hair weave and all that." With the makeup, when you do it excessively, is the problem. If you have natural makeup, when you wear light, just some foundation, that's okay. Most dudes ain't got a big problem with that. It's when y'all do it so much that you guys do look like drags, then that's a problem.
Well,
Okay, now
Don't you think?
you're saying that, but many a man will beat his meat to Nicki Minaj.
yeah, but they're not
Who
beating the
literally,
meat
whoa, whoa, whoa,
to
whoa, whoa,
not
whoa,
to the
whoa,
makeup.
wait. Who
Yeah,
has
yeah.
that aesthetic? Who has
Ain't
that
got,
Okay,
aesthetic?
let me say.
Wait, let me
Okay,
finish.
ain't got nothing to do with
Many
makeup, Iran.
many men will be going through Instagram or Facebook or whatever you guys look at, and you will be sexually attracted to women
let me
who
speak
are
to that.
literally presenting
It's
that
called
way.
cultural
It is
appropriation, Iran.
hypocritical. It's hypocritical for you to say it's too
Hypocritical,
much,
Iran.
but then you get
It's
off
not.
on that too. Now, I'm
No, it's
not
not
Listen,
saying. Look,
hypocritical.
yeah,
I'm not
It's
saying you
called
don't
media
have to. You
appropriation.
don't have to
let her
defend.
finish, bro.
You guys don't have to
It's called
defend the
cultural appropriation.
hypocrisy.
Let her finish, bro.
I'm just saying, at the very least, can we admit that that level of hypocrisy is why you are not getting the results out of women that you want in the community? That's all I'm
Nope,
saying.
nope,
No, I do
nope.
not
Irene,
agree.
Irene, I
But
just want to add
because
this. I
I
want
do not
to. I
agree
just
with
want to add.
you. Your
I just
premise.
wanted to add this. The same dudes that are complaining about makeup and weave, about she's wearing this dress is too tight, or she's wearing are the same dudes that have nothing to offer. Why? I don't think grown ass men should be up here complaining about black women wearing too much weave, about the way we as black men. You see what's happening in Haiti. We as black men have bigger fish to fry. Haiti,
Exactly. We need
they were whipping us down in Haiti. We're bigger fish to fry. So I think I think black men need to take the position of leadership, and I think that coincides with the rejection of the mammying culture. And I think
yeah,
like
but
we
you're
as black
talking
dudes
about a
need to
good conversation, bro.
I
The
think that was
conversation
shots at me though, but go ahead.
here
makeup.
is
We have bigger fish. We have bigger fish. We have bigger fish to
That
fry.
was shots at me. That was shots at me.
We have
brother,
bigger fish to
brother,
fry.
and
I-
sister.
I'm talking to this motherfucker that said that. Was that shots?
We're talking about being a leader, right? Being a leader involves having power and resources.
That was
It
cool.
involves having control, and there's consequences for actions and behavior. You can be a leader in your home, and a woman decides to call the cops on you. That leadership goes into the garbage can, all right? Because you
My
don't have
brother,
power
anyone can be a
over
leader.
your community.
Anyone can be
So you can't
anyone.
call yourself a leader
We
when you
don't
don't
need.
have power over
You don't need to be a
yourself.
politician or a
No,
store
no,
owner
bro. I'm
or a
not
store
saying
manager to
you
be a
have to be
leader.
a politician. I'm not saying that. For example, if you look at the Nation of Islam, right? They have a structure, right? They have codes and conduct, right? they have morals and mores of how they operate and they treat each other because they have to adhere to a certain rule and code of conduct. When you're dealing with a society like America, where everybody believes in individual rugged, being individually rugged, right? I'm the ruler of my own self, right? There's no structure. There is no culture there. The culture is popular culture. So when everybody is streamlining towards TV, media, propaganda, talk shows, and all this kind of stuff that influence people, you can't say, well, men should be leaders. No, the leadership is.
No,
So you're saying,
men
so
have
you're
to be
saying
leaders,
that men
Rain,
No,
shouldn't, that
because
men
we're
are not
living in a
leaders.
global patriarchy.
I'm
So
saying men
two
are
of you,
leaders. Men are leaders when we operate on the nationhood, when we operate on the structure and organization, and we can build
nations,
that.
they think,
No,
well,
you can't build
wait
that in
a
a society
second.
that's
Wait,
anti-culture.
please. Honestly, who do you think nations just pop up out of nowhere? How do you think organizations, you use the NOI as an example. How do you think organizations and nations are built? They are built from a small place. They're built from a small group of men, 5 or 10 men getting together, cooperating, being consistent leaders, and then recruiting more men, and then them gaining power and resources, and then recruiting more men. And that's how you get organizations and nations, etc. These things aren't just popping up out of thin air. And honestly, it's kind
Not
of freaking me out. I'm going to keep it real. It's kind of bothersome to me that you keep
why.
speaking about the finished product and without understanding that the finished product is attained through a low level leadership, a joined low level consistency in leadership and behavior and agreement among average everyday men. That is how you get organizations, cultures, and countries and nations. I'm so lost as to why you're not making that
You
connection.
don't. You
It's
don't
like
understand
throwing me off
America.
right now.
No, Irene,
Well,
but you are making an
let me say
argument
this real
based on
quick. You're
fallacy. It
saying
doesn't exist
if
in the United States. The United
that you're not
States does
a
not afford the
leader,
black man that
you're
structure,
if
and
No,
you have
nobody
it.
needs
Yeah,
to wait. Whoa,
Jesus
nobody needs
Christ,
to
man.
afford
No,
you any. You are a man. Nobody has to
Facts.
afford you anything.
Irene,
You
don't forget we're
afford
living in a
yourself.
global. We're living.
Why do,
Facts.
literally,
why do I have more faith in you than you have in yourself? This is blowing my freaking
no,
mind right
no,
now.
We're living in a
Irene,
global.
you
so
talking to them goofy motherfuckers that keep saying they're not leaders. You're not talking about me. I'm done with that leadership.
okay, no,
no.
Just accept her
You
on her
are an
premise. Accept her
You're an
on her
individual.
fucking. Accept her on her premise that she said we are leaders. That's all you got to do. Stop with the we in
okay.
America. Stop that corny crying shit.
So look.
Bro, ain't nobody crying over
Continue.
here. I'm
If you can be a
involved with
leader
my own
because your
nation.
leader can
I'm
be
involved with
challenged,
my own group, right? We having a
you're saying that
conversation.
you can't be a leader if a cop. You're saying you can't be a leader if a cop comes to your house and arrests you. But if you're a leader of a country, right, and another country, a hostile country comes into your country and takes over and kills you, you weren't a leader in the first place. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying is that when
If you're a leader, if you're
bro,
overseeing resources and you have land and you have control over shit, and somebody and your resources kills you,
Yo, what's all that noise, bro?
I don't know what conversation you guys are
This
having. I'm
motherfucker
talking about
eating
no
and
one
shit.
is a leader if their leadership can be challenged and overthrown. No one's a leader then.
Just accept the premise
Because
that she said.
you can't just have your leadership challenged on a micro level. It can be challenged on a macro level. You can be a king that has 30 different countries under your empire, but you can still be overthrown. You can still be taken over. So like that's, I mean, y'all keep attacking strawmen. Y'all not even addressing the subject you're talking about.
It's fucking stupid.
I'm just gonna. I'm gonna say this.
Anybody
You
want to
know
address
what's
what she was
great?
talking
You
about?
know.
The
You know
hypocrisy
what?
in the leadership of black men or men in
No.
general?
No, they're not. And you
Because
know
it's
what's
there.
unfortunate?
If we're not
Hey, can we
consistent,
get back? Can we get back to what she was talking about earlier
if we're
about how
sending
she
mixed
started?
messages, if we're sending mixed messages to the people we have leaders.
We're not sending mixed messages. She's equating. I think Irene is equating like you're more, I guess, like trashier women to like regular women, and she doesn't realize there's levels to a man's interest. Okay,
No,
when
I
a
do
man,
no, no, no. I do
wait a minute,
recognize
I
that.
got you, What I'm
Go
saying
ahead.
is, when a man makes a woman his wife, that takes precedent over just some girl that he found sexually attractive and he wanted to smash. Those are just regular hoes. They don't mean nothing. Okay, now if a dude, if we get beyond the sex, when a man is giving you tangibles, when he's investing in you, you take precedent way more than some mistress. There's levels to it. So when I guess when you was in the room, you was mad that guys were like, I guess they weren't consistent to you about the weave and all of that. Listen, all those fake girls, they just fake. They don't mean nothing. Y'all, I thought y'all understood that as women by now.
I get, and literally, Young East, at the beginning of this live, I said, men want us to accept their hypocrisy. They want us to
So,
accept, the double standard.
it's
They
not a
want us to
double
Irene,
accept
standard.
that there are
I,
two groups of women in their minds.
Some women are concubine.
One group of women that they put down, but yet
Mm-hmm.
still are attracted to, still like their aesthetic, still want them, but they talk
Yeah.
crap about them, and a second group of women
Yes.
that is wholesome that they marry. I
No,
said men want us to accept the hypocrisy, and what I'm
it's
saying
not
to the men,
hypocrisy though.
it is hypocrisy.
No,
And
it's
what I'm
not.
Irene,
saying
I
to
think
the
we
men,
need to.
is this:
Every
it's
woman
not.
is not wife material,
Wait a
Irene.
second. Listen,
All right.
most men are not husband material. I agree with you. Most people are not good for
Okay,
marriage.
so
But,
where's the
listen,
hypocrisy?
listen to what I am
Well, that,
saying. You are saying it's not hypocrisy and it's not a problem. And I'm saying, look at our community and how most women are swinging to the side of the tracks of women you claim are invaluable, or are not valuable, I mean.
I have to
And
If we're
agree with you.
talking, if
notice that this is happening. It's
listen,
what I like to call whole culture, right?
this is not just
There
our
are things,
community.
and ways as an
This the
older woman
deflection.
that we never saw women doing unless they were literal prostitutes, that are now commonplace for the
Irene,
average woman today. And the men are not paying, they're complaining about it, but they're not paying attention to why it is happening. I am
Irene,
telling you, the
keep
hypocrisy
on
of
going.
men is why it is happening. The reason so-called women who are so-called good for marriage, quote unquote, is diminishing is because of the hypocrisy of our leaders.
Uh
Period.
huh.
You
Uh huh.
thinking it's not a problem doesn't matter if you can look at our community and see the results of the male leadership hypocrisy.
It's not
The proof is
hypocrisy.
in the pudding.
Irene,
It's
I think we've moved.
hypocrisy.
Irene,
No, it's
I
not.
think we've circumvented the elephant in the room. I think that even on a basic level, black men, we want to be characterized as leaders. However, on a collective level, not on an individual level, we're not providing any resources. We're not protecting our children. We're not protecting our women. I think that's the biggest hypocrisy. I think when we're talking about sex and about how women are depicted, sexualization of women. I think that's the crux of it all. That should be the crux of it all. You want to be called a leader. However, you don't want to emulate leadership qualities, i.e.
but
dominance,
Okay.
i.e.
Okay.
but
protection.
she's not talking. She's talking
This,
about. She's addressed that before. She's talking about. Oh my. She's talking about
you borged
being
out, bro.
dressed in a certain
You're cutting out,
right.
Tyrant
If
Spain,
you act like
but
you know,
you're cutting out.
You
You
cutting out. You cut
Yeah,
out.
but I think what he's saying is relevant, is even if you wanted to operate in hypocrisy, I agree with Jabel that you don't have a leg to stand on if you aren't actually engaging in leadership. I think even if you wanted to be hypocritical, then at least be hypocritical while bringing the full package of leadership to the table. I think that's what he's saying, is that the last conversation should be about the standards that women are or are not holding themselves to, when the other merits behind leadership are not being met. And I think that's a fair argument.
All right. Can I say this? It's not. It's just not in our community, right? With men, they're choosing other women to sleep with besides their wife. It exists in every community. Okay. The thing
No, that's a
is, what? Hold
deflection.
on.
That's
Hold
a
on. No, it's not a.
deflection.
Hold on. It's not a deflection. So this is what I'm saying, right? So fuck. He fucked up my train of thought. If sex is all you have to offer as a woman, you are going to be really mad when that guy sleeps out. But if you have other qualities, that's the wife material I'm talking about. If you bring other stuff to the table, like you could cook, or you're a nurturing mother, or whatever the case, whatever attribute that's good for a man, that's going to take precedent over just sex. Sex don't mean nothing to us. That's what you. Sex means something to y'all, I guess, but sex don't mean nothing to us. It's just a smash. Do you understand that, Irene?
I understand it fully, and I'm saying it's that level of hypocrisy
That's not
that is a problem.
how is that hypocrisy? How?
I'm telling you here, whether you choose to accept it or not, when men complain about things like feminism, I'm telling you exactly what you just said is why women are flocking to feminism, because they are tired of male hypocrisy.
No,
White women created feminism, and black women are latching onto feminism because men want to have their cake and eat it too.
I
They
don't
want
think
to
that's why.
judge. They want
No,
to
that's not
judge
why
women.
feminism was
They
created,
want.
Irene.
They want to judge women. They want to be able to have sex from women as much as they want, and at the same time be able to call a woman a hoe. They want to be
She
able
was a
to
hoe. She's a hoe,
they want to be
Irene.
able to
Yeah,
lust after
Irene.
the Instagram thought, but
You
then
are
be able
making a
to put
false
down
argument
weave
here.
and makeup. They
Yeah, let her
want
be a
to be
hoe.
able to do these. Wait 1 second. They want to be able to do these things. And I'm telling you that it reads as hypocrisy because it is hypocritical. You're wanting to say, I want women to understand that there are two groups of women in my mind, that
Uh
there's
huh.
two types of sex in my mind, that
Uh
there's two.
huh.
And I'm saying that women are looking at you like you're crazy. It's
That's because you're
hypocrisy.
equating all women to yourself or something. All women ain't
No,
good
I'm not.
women. Some.
Let's take a poll because I think we have a lot of women here. Ladies in the
Oh my
chat,
You're not
God, they're
making
gonna
no.
agree with
please.
you.
No, I'm just saying, let's, because it's not just me.
You're not
I'm
making no
telling
They're
you
gonna
because
hypocrisy
I
agree with
know.
argument.
you.
I'm telling you because I know. Do you think feminism is taking off because I'm wrong? Listen to this. Ladies in the chat, put a one up if you agree that men are hypocrites
Oh
in
my
their
God,
standards to women. No,
Oh my
I
goodness!
just want you
Now
to
they're
see
that's
it.
gonna
a
agree
I'm
with
not.
you. It's your channel.
No, it's not. Everybody doesn't agree with me. I just literally put up a. Oh, wait a second.
Irene.
Everybody
Feminism was
on
not
my
started
channel, wait a second,
20
Stupid.
please,
years ago.
please, please. Everybody on my channel doesn't agree with me. I
Boom, there you
literally
go.
just, wait a second. I literally just highlighted a comment of a woman who thinks I'm giving you guys much more leeway than I give the women. People disagree with me all the time on this
Uh
channel.
huh. Yeah. I
My
see
point
everyone
is,
agreeing with you
I just
though.
want to
Okay.
know, ladies, do you think men are hypocrites in their standards for women? This is not my opinion. And even if I didn't take a poll in the chat, you just have to look at the social climate between men and women and listen to what the ladies are saying. You know what baffles me is if men had any real spirit toward healing this divide, the first thing you would do, like if I'm leading, I'm a mother, right? If I have children and there's a dispute, right? And I'm having trouble leading my household as a mom. The first thing I'm going to do is get in touch with what's going on with my children. What is the issue here so that I can effectively lead them? But what is blowing my mind is the resistance to being told in a loving way, like, this is the problem. Whatever you think you want to do, however you want to live your life is the problem. The hypocrisy is a problem. Whether you want to feel it's hypocrisy or not, whether you think the double standard makes sense or not, whether you can compartmentalize your behavior or not, the people who are under your leadership, they are not functioning at their best because your leadership is broken down by your hypocrisy. You can say it's not all you want, but you can look at our community and see that it is. And
Every
why be
The
community,
resistant to
community is
that?
broken down.
every
When it has nothing.
community of man. Go ahead, man. Go
Other
ahead.
But we're not
Yeah.
talking about every community of men.
Yes,
We're
we are.
talking about us.
No, you can't be talking about using false narratives because that's what the media does all the time. Construct false narratives. Well, the reason why there's a pandemic is because there's a virus. Well, I can argue that there's no virus. I could argue that the virus is not a pandemic. I could argue that the numbers are inflated. I could argue so many things based on facts. What you're talking about right now is not based on empirical facts. It's based on I would just give it to you anecdotal, maybe your emotional
state of mind or what social media is
Okay, wait,
projecting. And I'm
wait. So I want you to qualify this because you can make any, wait, you can make any broad, wait a second. You can make any broad statement, you can make any broad statement you want, but let's qualify what you're saying. So, most men that I have spoken to are not willing to not have sex with a woman until they marry her. Let me ask you something. Do you have premarital sex? Are you willing
Yeah,
to be in a long-term relationship, put your resources, time, and energy to a woman who is not your wife without sex? Yes or no?
am I willing to do that
Yes.
based on the circumstance, based on the woman that I'm dealing with?
No, I just want to know, is that your normal behavior? Yes or no? Just be honest. This is not a trap. Okay, well, fine. Don't be honest. I'll just put it out for what it is. Most men are not going to go months and months spending money on putting their love and sexual and emotional interest into a woman who is not getting into bed with them. Okay?
Facts.
However, so most men are going to want that premarital sex. However, many of these men are the same men who will condemn a pregnancy that occurs in premarital sex. They will talk about the baby's
It's two
mom, the
different
woman who
things,
had
sweetheart.
babies out of wedlock. Wait a second. A lot of these men who will condemn premarital birth to children are the same men who also have a problem with abortion, right? So you want premarital
Oh
sex,
my God.
but you don't want women to have babies out of wedlock, and you don't want abortion. But you're not willing to give up the premarital sex to prevent the out of wedlock births and the
Oh my
abortion.
God.
Right? This
You
is just
can
clearly
have
what it is.
premarital sex
And
without
wait
having
a
a
second,
baby,
wait
sweetheart.
a second. Every time you have
Jesus
sex,
Christ.
every time you have sex, it can end in pregnancy. Let's not play retarded. We're all adults here. Okay? So at the
Pull
end of the
out.
day,
What the
at the
fuck?
end, and I don't want to hear this because in the Black community, we have a huge amount of women who have never been married, who have given birth to children. And they're not giving birth to children having never been married because men are walking around refusing to hold women to the standard of chastity. They're walking around having kids because most men aren't about to engage in relationships on a long-term basis with a woman without sex prior to marriage. So this is the reality of things.
You
That
could
is
be
what I'm talking about.
responsible.
So when the brother says, when you're making broad sweeping statements saying I have no evidence, our community is the evidence. The behavior of our people is the evidence. The makeup of our families is the evidence. I'm not pulling this out of nowhere. I'm not making broad sweeping statements that don't have any basis in reality. We know what it is in the Black community. We know how we move as adults, men and women in the Black community. Why would we sit on this panel and pretend like we don't know the lay of the land? At the very least, can we accept responsibility that the way that we are moving is creating the environment that is our community?
Well,
At
you
the
know what?
very least.
I'm sorry.
Every
You know,
race of man
Irene, I
wants
mean,
smash, man. What
you
the
do
fuck?
you do have a good point there. I mean, because a lot of men need to be accountable for their actions. Because I mean, for every action there's a reaction. For every cause there's an effect. So yes, I do agree with that. I do. And I mean, what she's saying is facts.
No, she is making it unique to our culture. Like every race of man don't want hoes. Okay, maybe they're having sex a little bit more responsibly. Maybe they're pulling out. But to say that we're being every race of man, we all do it. So I don't
So
want to hear this shit.
but Young East, are we going to sit here and pretend that our community doesn't have the highest out of wedlock births, that our community doesn't have the lowest marriage rates, that our community doesn't have the highest sexually transmitted disease rates? Are we going to sit here and pretend like that's not
but that wasn't the argument. That wasn't the argument.
No,
the
my
argument
point
was,
is,
are we being hypocritical?
But you opened up the door for that
But
when
are
you
we
said
being
wait a second. You said other communities are doing it too. My
they're
point is
smashing.
whatever is going on in other communities is not reaching the proportions that it is in our community. And we're talking about us. Let me tell you something. If every other community wants to run their women and their men into the dirt, what does that have to do with us? What does it have to do with us? Are we basing the treatment of each other
are we
based on
making
how
the
they treat each other?
comparison?
I just want to ask you one question, Young East. Are we basing our treatment of each other based on how they treat each other? We only
think
treat
you
each
are.
other as good as they treat each other?
I think you were making a comparison. Yeah, I think you were doing that. I wasn't.
I
I
never
was.
brought up other communities though.
Yeah, yeah. You keep on making. Oh, the black community. That listen. This is just a
First of
man's.
all, I said men
Oh
in
my God,
general, and
you.
you guys backed me. No, no, because I don't want you to accuse me of doing something I didn't do. I said
Yeah,
men
you
in
all over the
general, and
place, Irene.
the brother that was just up here, the one that went down a couple brothers ago, not Tyron
Yeah,
Spain, but the other one. He
yeah.
said, are we talking about the whole world? Are we talking about America? Are we talking about the Black community? I said I could make this applicable globally, but for the
Hmm.
sake of our conversation, because he wanted me to specify, I said, why don't we hone it into America and within America, the Black community? That was a choice made by the men on this panel
Okay,
because
so
my
let me.
discussion was the
See,
behavior of men in
we
general.
got you. We got you. So let me listen. Are you talking about black male sexual irresponsibility, or are you just talking about men having sex with hoes? Which what are you talking about?
I'm talking about Black male leadership and
Oh
the
my God.
criticizing of women and how women maneuver when men behave hypocritically in the promotion of certain types of women. That is what I'm speaking of. It's not about sex per se, it's about overarching criticism of women, while men in the same breath engage the very types of women that they criticize, and how that hypocrisy makes it an environment that is not conducive to women
Hmm.
being led. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So guess what? So basically, it's this right here, in a nutshell. I mean, the reason why black women are the way they are is because black men are the way are the way we are. It's just what it is. I mean, we're
No,
tethered.
not
No,
exactly. I mean, we do influence, just like how they influence.
I
We do influence each
I
other,
mean,
but it's
because
not exact.
the thing is, hold on, my dude. Because I mean, naturally, I mean, black women can, say whatever they want to say about black men, but naturally, that our black women are going to naturally respond to what we adhere to, and that's just facts. And if we are degenerate, then what, the black woman is going to mirror that because they, think that hey, that's what we like.
I agree with you. We do have an influence. Okay, so I agree with that part. But like I said, she's talking about. It sounds like what you're talking about is literally like a guy. They'll pick a wife, but they'll still want other women, maybe mistresses. It sounds like that's what you're talking about, Irene. And I
No,
guess that's
not
the
not
hypocrisy.
necessarily in a marriage, just in general, like whether
Okay,
you're
fine.
married or not. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, okay. Like I said before, there's levels to it. Like just to put a whole blanket judge on the whole situation. There are some girls that deserve to be wives and some that don't. I mean, yeah, there's some that don't. So you can't equate all of them at the same level. And I think that's why you're frustrated because to you it's like a man shouldn't even look at a woman that's appealing sexually if he has a girlfriend. It's not the case because sex is just one aspect, and it's a small aspect. It's not the whole. It's not what a relationship consists of. Overwhelmingly. So, like I said, if you have other attributes that's better than sex, then that's what a man is going. That's what he's going to gravitate to as well. So you
Yeah.
can't.
So I understand that. I started this video off saying I understand exactly what men think. They think what you just said. I literally started this video off saying that. And I was saying that men in their minds, this kind of hypocrisy and double standard, you guys think it makes sense. And
It do make sense.
you want this is what I claim. I said men think it makes sense. That's exactly what I said. I was like, this is
But
what men think, and they think it makes sense.
Do
And
you
they
equate
expect
every
women
man the same?
and they expect women to navigate around their hypocrisy without complaint. That's
Irene,
what you
is
guys want.
every man is a husband material, correct?
Here, let me say something. So
Go
when
ahead.
when we are talking about men or women being husband or wife material, people start off as children, and every male child and every female child
You got
fully
background work.
has the fully has the potential to be an excellent spouse to somebody. But as they grow up, exposure to twisted environments devoid of leadership and guidance that cultivate those kind of people creates individuals who are overwhelmingly not suited for families. And
Uh,
that is
uh,
the fault.
that
That
was a
is the
simple
fault of
question,
the
Irene.
environment that they're growing up in. If
So
we
I'm
want
not.
to, if we wanted to
Jesus Christ,
improve,
bro.
if we wanted to improve the amount of men and women who are suitable for
Irene,
marriage,
it's a simple question.
I
Are
mean, I
all
answered,
men
but
husband material?
we agreed earlier that most people aren't suitable for marriage.
Oh
I'm
my
saying
God.
that it doesn't have to be that way though. What
Okay,
we're
that's
doing,
fine.
no, this is what you're doing. What you're
Hmm.
doing is you're pouring water into the flour, right? I have 1 ton of flour and you're pouring water into my flour and it's all glue now. And you're like, most of this flour isn't suitable for making cake. And I'm looking at the flour and I'm like, I agree with you. Most of this flour is trash. We can't do anything with it. But if you would just stop pouring water on it, it would be fine. And you're telling me, let's not talk about the fact that I'm pouring water all over the flour and it's turning into paste so you can't cook anything with it. I just want to talk about the fact the flour is no good. I'm telling you, we can agree that most men and women are not marriage material, but they are not marriage material because they grow up in an environment that is hypocritical toward developing people who would be marriage material. That's
Okay,
what I'm
now you're
saying, and it's
switching
a problem.
I mean, you're switching your argument now. Now you're saying the environment is responsible. Your initial
Well, the
argument was that
environment is created by people. So let's be clear.
necessarily.
People's
I
behavior cultivates the environment. People are the example for other people. People are example for children. We didn't learn these behaviors out of nowhere, right? We
switching
pick
your
we pick up
argument.
these behaviors from the people around us.
Irene, you keep changing the goalposts. Your
I'm
initial
not.
argument is
This is all the same conversation.
I know it's a conversation, but when you keep switching the goalposts, it gets people confused.
How
Is
does this
culture
move the
responsible?
goalposts? We were talking
She's
about
been all over the place.
interpersonal behavior and how
First,
hypocrisy and
let's talk
interpersonal
about
behavior perverts an environment in the community. How is this a different conversation? How did I move
because
the
you just
goalposts?
said conversation, Irene. You said man's hypocrisy are responsible for why women are becoming that. Now you saying the environment, the culture. What is it? Is it culture? Is it social media? Is it public
Who do
policy?
you think?
Is
Oh my goodness,
it
who creates the culture? Do you think
who
culture
can?
just pops out of thin air? Do
No,
you think culture is just something that happens by with the blow of the wind? Who creates
I'm telling.
culture?
Well, hold on.
People.
Hey,
People
black. Hey,
create culture.
all right. Let me.
People.
Let me.
And this fits in
Let's,
perfectly. I don't want to have to break this down, but how about I break it down?
Go
So
ahead.
I
hey,
give
Irene.
birth, I give birth to a baby. Okay. I give birth to a little boy. I give birth to a little girl. And I'm telling them, look, little girl, when you grow up, you don't have a baby out of wedlock. You work really hard to be smart. You take care of yourself, be pretty. Little boy, you take care of you take care of the women around you. You work really hard. You be a good leader. You protect the people that you can, right? And then
Hey,
as
Irene. Can I
they're
say
growing,
something
and then
deeper?
I'm saying this, but as they're growing up, I'm in the household. I'm tossing back liquor. I'm having sex with 15 and 30 men a day. I'm yelling and cursing at their father. Their father's beating me in the face. I can say whatever I want to them, but my behavior is what they're going to pick up on. Culture is created by people, which was why I said the interpersonal behavior. Men, individual men making hypocritical choices creates a communal environment not conducive to
Can I
women
respond to
being
that?
able to meet any of these standards
I agree.
that are being set
I agree
for them.
with you.
That is what I
I agree
said.
with you. Irene, I agree with you, but you are making an omission to your argument. What you're saying is personal behavior. Let me give you an example, right? The welfare system in America started in 1973, right? And when the man was pushed out from the home, whose decision was that? When
Who
the
can
woman was
push a
given,
man out of the home? This sounds crazy.
let me finish my conversation. Let me finish my conversation.
I'm
We're
not
talking
going to do
about,
this. No, who can push a man out of the home? Who can
you can,
The white man.
who can push a man out of the home?
Yeah, who put the man out of the home? Is it the man or is it the
Who
government?
can push a man out of the home? I can't push my man a half of a foot. If I took my hand, no, wait a second. If I took my
Irene,
hand right now, because I've done it playfully, I've tried to
story.
push Mister. I couldn't push Mister 6 inches,
Even
no less out a freaking door. Are you kidding me right now?
Irene, public policy changes human behavior. When you make it a law,
Nobody has to take welfare. You can take
you
care of
can
your family, and then your wife won't need welfare.
on.
I
If
don't
your wife,
understand this. What are you saying right now?
the government is offering you $100,000 so you don't live with your husband. Your husband only makes
I just want
20.
to know this. Who can push a man out of the home? I just want you to answer my first question. What
I'm telling you,
woman can push a man out of the home?
false argument. The false argument you're making is
I know
about
this is a real, no, this is not a false
no,
argument.
you're making a false
Who can
argument.
push a
The
man
false
out of the
argument
home? Look,
is that
I don't
man.
know. Now, there might be some little teeny tiny men out there and some real big
No,
women, but I just want to know
what's
what
the
woman,
role of public
ladies,
policy?
those of you who are, wait a second, this is a real
Public policy.
question.
It's
Those
the
of you
culture.
who are in a relationship, wait 1 second, brother, because I want to know this. Those of you
The
who
way
are in a relationship, one
actually
second, I'll let you finish. I will let you finish, but I want to start with your first argument about men being pushed out of the home. My man is like 220 pounds. Okay? I can't push this
She
Negro off
doesn't
the
mean
freaking
physically.
bed.
She
No
don't mean
less out
physically.
of let me finish. I can't
Hey,
push
everybody,
this
hold on. Let
Negro
her
out
talk.
of a bed. I can't push
Irene,
this Negro into a wall. Let me finish. I
Hey,
can't
hold
wait
on.
a
Yeah,
second.
let her
Please
talk, bro.
let
Let
me
her talk.
finish. I cannot
yes.
push his 220-pound butt
You
anywhere.
men are
I
mentally.
legitimately, if my husband walks out of this house, it's because he is leaving. Okay? He is leaving. Because if he don't want to go anywhere, I guarantee you I'm not going to be the one to get him out. It's not going to be me.
Not
I
you, but
certainly don't have the power to do it. I
Excuse
guarantee
me,
that
Irene.
crap. Every time this man walks out of a door, that is his choice. There is
Irene,
literally nothing I can do to make him do it. So
Miss Irene,
no. We're not going to do that. We're not going
there
to
are
do
different
that.
kinds of power.
Hey, hey,
Different kind of power.
Irene, can I say this? Can I
Physical
say this?
power.
I
Emotional
just want to
power.
hold on. I just want to say this. I would love to talk to Cynthia G about this.
Physical power is everything. Because
No, it's
physical
not.
power is why you fear the police. Physical power is God when it comes to control and leadership. You fear the police because they will take a billy club and a pair of handcuffs and they will drag you off to jail. You fear the military because they can brutalize you. Physical power is everything. Do not make it like physical power is not a dynamic between men and women. No woman
Yeah,
can ever force
but
a man to do anything he doesn't want to do ever. Every man makes a choice because he's dominated
Irene,
by another man or because he
Irene,
wants to make that choice. But no
Irene,
woman's ever pushed a man to do anything. Let's not play that game.
use individual physical power with military organized power. All right, those are two different things. I might have the power
Physical
to shoot
power is
one
when you
person.
punch a man in the face for disrespecting you. Physical power is everything.
Physical
Okay?
power
You don't need
is
a
not.
whole
Oh
military.
my God, bro.
You've never smashed somebody's face into the cement for crossing you.
No,
You've never punched somebody in the face for handling you wrong or for disrespecting you. Physical
I've
power is not just about a military or police. You are a whole man. I know you know about physical power. Let's not sit here and act like that does not play a part of it.
Violence is the last resort for a rational man, and I've had more success using my intellectual power.
Violence is how you obtain power. Well, how do you think the United States is in power? Because they
I
use
agree.
violence as the last resort? No.
No,
Violence is the last resort for a punk. No.
Irene, you can't
Violence
go
is the last
shooting
resort
people.
for a woman. No.
That's not
Violence
true.
is the last
That's
resort
true.
for a woman. No.
No.
Woman. Violence is
No,
the
no, no.
last resort for me. You're a man. Violence is what makes the world go round. Are you out of your
Yo,
mind
she
right
just
now?
yo.
What are you talking about?
Violence
If you want,
makes the world go round. What are you saying right now?
no,
You cannot
what are
be.
you
This is not real
What are you
life.
talking about? I don't
Hey,
understand what you're
everybody,
Sorry.
peace and blessings, man. Y'all have a good one.
Violence
I'm
makes
out.
the world go round. What are you saying? Violence
No, no.
is what it's how men maintain power. What are you saying?
if you have a
Where
nation that
when
you're
is violence the last resort? Where is violence the last resort except for with women and children?
I, you're conflating ideas. When you're fighting as a nation, yes, you use violence to acquire territory and resources. But when you're in a relationship, violence is not the first approach. Get it? You've done this all through this conversation. You keep switching the
Okay,
goalposts. You keep
when you're
conflating
in a
ideas.
relationship, violence is not the first resort. That's not what I'm saying. I said physical strength is the end all be all. At the end of the day, a woman cannot push a man, because his argument was that men were pushed out of the home, and my question was, who pushed you out? Because no
He's
woman
talking
has
about
the
the
power.
cops, Irene. He's talking about the cops. Like women be
Okay, so
calling the
he's talking
cops
about
on
other
niggas, and
men.
them
He's
and the
saying
cops
other
come and
men.
take a nigga out the house. That's what he's talking about. It was
Okay, so
simple.
other men put him
Yeah,
out the house. Well, then
yeah.
that seems like a conversation you need to have with the men that put you guys out the house, and not
Boom,
No, no,
women.
boom.
that conversation was had in the 70s. The Black Panther Party, of which my parents were involved and they killed, they died for it, they spilled their blood for it. Okay, so I know what happens when you fight back and you don't have a real army. Okay, that's a different conversation. What we're talking about this relationship, right? Interpersonal relationships. Isn't that what we're talking about?
Yes.
So when somebody tells me that a man was put out of a house, my question is,
Mm-hmm.
who put him out? Now somebody
Mm-hmm.
said the police, the white man, somebody.
Young E
Look,
said it.
then
Yeah.
your conversation about being put out the house should be with that man who put you out of the house, not a
Mm-hmm.
woman.
And
Because a woman has never made a man do
What he's
anything he didn't want to do.
I mean, what he's arguing is why is you calling the cops in the first place? That's what he arguing.
What
Like
I'm going to argue
he's
is,
sticking the
why would
dogs,
you?
he's sticking the pigs on him. That's what he's saying.
Okay, so what I would say to that is, at the end of the day, I can't sick anybody on you who can't control you. Okay, a woman should not have a person to call to
Huh?
sick on you. The
Huh?
problem is not a woman's behavior. A woman will fall back if there's no police to call that can handle you.
What
Then
are you
she's going to
talking?
listen to
Yo,
you.
you gotta mute
But
up, bro.
at the end of the day,
Yo, Chris, mute up.
if there's a man that is dominant over you, there's
Damn,
there's always somebody to call.
mute up, nigga.
At the
Holy
end of the
shit.
day, because
Okay,
there is a
so
man that has
Irene,
more.
can I really quickly just
Go
go
ahead.
really
Go
quickly
ahead.
because I'm in the
Go
middle.
ahead.
I'm in the middle of editing. This whole notion that someone took black men out of the home is a lie. It's a lie. There are multiple studies that was done around that time, and they said in most of the homes, the man was never in there. His kids did not know him. They didn't know their grandfathers. The men walked out of the home. Black men are lying. And then they sit up there and they'll wave around the Moynihan report as if people can't read it. All up and through that Moynihan report, they go out over different people who did different studies around that time. Black men left the home. And they explicitly said black men abandoning their families caused black women to have to get on welfare. Stop with the lies. Nobody put you out the home. And even if somebody did put you in the home, why didn't you go to the Supreme Court and get them to put you back in the home? What did you do after they put you out of the home? Where did you go after they put you out of the home? Where? That's a question. A legit one. Where did you go? Where did black men go when they were supposedly put out the home? They weren't, but sure, let's entertain it. Where did you go?
Them niggas went on the street.
They were on the street because they were on the street because they were on the street because they left the home long before black women ever got welfare. And in fact, black men had welfare before black women did. Black men were the original welfare queens. You better do the research. No, it ain't cap. You talking cap. Saying black men were put out of the home when they left is cap. Find the research and find the data and post it then. Post it. Black men had welfare before black women did. Black men had welfare. They had home aides in the rare occasion that they didn't have a woman there. Black men left the home. They left. Nobody put them out.
Nobody gonna believe that black men had welfare first. That is false. I don't know where you get that from. But hey, that ain't my argument.
That's absolutely
y'all talking
true.
about some
Black men
shit.
had
Y'all,
welfare first. It's not about what you believe, it's about facts.
y'all
And
talking
I
about
don't
some
care what you
shit.
believe. Black men had welfare before black women did.
Y'all talking about some shit that happened like in the 50s. Like that,
Well,
like
old dude
it's
was talking
not.
about it.
Bro, yeah, and then he ran, so whatever. But like I
Yeah,
said,
he ran off the panel. True.
right. So like I said, yeah, I don't have no dog in that argument because, like I said, I think he was just talking about why did the black man leave? Period. Like, why did the black man walk out the house? And be looking
Because he
for a
could
lot of.
because he couldn't provide for his family and it was easier to leave. That is why.
It's cat.
Because it was
Well,
easier
he
to
Oh,
leave
didn't
than
big
provide
cat.
for
he
his
didn't
family.
say that they walked out though. He said they were pushed out, and that's why I said who pushed you out because no woman pushed you out. That's why I took it there because that's just a
Yeah,
ridiculous
but
argument.
I'm sure he meant metaphorically. He meant metaphorically. He's saying black men walked out the house due to y'all, due to the way y'all act. That's what he's saying. But like, hey, if it was my house, I'm not walking out my own goddamn house. Like, she better fucking book a hotel or something. I'm not walking out my shit. But like I said, he said that's why they do it, and then that's how the black women got welfare and all that bullshit. So I don't know what that's about. But Dave, hop up here, Dave, man. Shit. Look at the chat.
I just wish that I wish that the men would just accept responsibility overwhelming. This conversation was very disheartening. Number one, it showed a
Nyla
lack of
wants the link, Irene.
I put it in the chat. Nyla, did you get it? I'll put it in the chat again. I was just disheartened by this whole thing. It's like you know what I just wanted? I just wanted the men to admit, yes, we're being hypocrites. And yes, we want to live, we want to stand, we want to die on this square of hypocrisy, no matter the cost. Or, you know, that you recognize it's hypocritical and it's damaging to the community and you want to do something about that.
No, it's not hypocritical. I explained it to you already. It's not hypocritical.
Yeah, you explained it
And
to me.
it's
You
not
want your cake and you want to eat it too. I said that before
it's
you
not
came up here. I said that.
It's not the detriment of the black community because some dudes like mistresses. Like I said, it exists
No,
in
it's not
all.
about mistresses though.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what it was about. That's what
No,
you
it
press.
wasn't.
You
Nobody
press.
brought up mistresses but you.
Well, that's what you're talking about. You speak
No, that's
vaguely
not
and
what
you
I'm
move the
talking about.
goalposts, Irene. You never want to be specific. Let's be specific. God damn it. Like I said, dudes like mistresses. Okay, boom. But the wife takes precedent in every community, especially in the white community. Okay, so we could take an instance
No,
like
but
Donald.
why are you so obsessed with mistresses? Do you have a mistress? Why do you keep going back to that?
Hold on, sweetheart. We could
But
take an
this
instance.
conversation wasn't about mistresses. You
Yes, it
keep
was.
talking about
You
mistresses.
keep
I feel like
on.
you've had an
You're being
experience
too
with.
vague. You're being too vague. Way too vague for us to even come to any conclusion. Like I said, every time I get specific, you try to say, I'm not talking about that. No, let's talk about something.
What is she being vague about?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Oh, interpersonal dynamics. What are you talking about specifically?
English. That's called English.
No,
If you don't
you're not
understand what I was
speaking
saying, that's one
specifically.
thing.
Okay, can I get
But wait,
specific?
hold on. But your lack of understanding doesn't
Can
mean
I
doesn't mean that I'm speaking with a level of ambiguity. That's
Yes,
not
you
what it
are.
means. It means you just don't understand.
No, I understand completely what
Well,
you're
then
saying.
you shouldn't be talking about that it's vague. It was very
Can I stop
specific.
speaking vague? Let's stop speaking vague. Can we do that?
How is she speaking vague though?
Can you stop saving her, nigga?
Saving her from what?
Stop
No,
saving
if he
her.
understands
Listen,
it,
no. Let's be
Oh my God.
specific. Let's be specific.
Irene, what am I saving you from?
What you
from the argument, nigga. What the fuck? Yo. Can we stop speaking vague? Can we give like examples? Can we do that?
I literally did that for the first hour.
You
gave you an example talking about a conversation they had in the live stream the other day.
I literally started this conversation with the example. That was the basis for the conversation. And I reiterated it 3 times in this live stream.
Do not save her.
Let's be specific.
There's nothing to save.
She's gonna get caught. She's gonna get caught because she's making vague and ambiguous arguments. And when we get specific, then all of a sudden she moved the goalposts and changed up. She never want to get specific because she might get caught. Niggas, stop saving her.
Caught in what?
I didn't run anywhere. That point.
Y'all moved the goalpost.
I'm
Nigga,
back on
you-
it. Somebody
Who is this guy? That's your
Oh,
husband?
okay.
You know what?
Chris
Green, that's
with
your
the
husband?
black men got pushed
I'll
out
say,
the home argument is
I'll be
that.
her favorite. Whatever
the
you want to say,
conversation, and I stand by my point. I make
Yeah,
it
go
again.
ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Public policy, the public policy that was made in the 70s, where the welfare was tilted towards single black single mothers, economically pushed the man out of the home. I stand by that. And if you don't
Okay,
believe
it
me,
wasn't for black women. It was for anybody, male or female. It was for anybody of any. It was for anybody of any race and any gender who had an
finish my
absent parent.
Irene, you can't cut me off in the middle of my conversation. Let me finish. And if you doubt me, because you're talking about the Moynihan report and all this kind of facts that are not true, Cynthia G, everything you said is false. By the way, look at what's going on right now in the family court system, child support system, child custody system, right? Those policies are the things that are driving men and women off relationship. Those are the things that create the hypocrisy. Those are things that create friction in relationships where the man doesn't have rights. A man should have a right to his own seed. A man should have a
Actually,
right
what I said wasn't incorrect. What I said was 100% true.
to see.
Nobody took nobody
Let's talk
took
about what's going
black
on right
men
now.
out of the home.
Let's talk about
Nobody
what's
took
going on
black
right
men out of the
now.
home. Black men walked out of the home. Black men were the first to get welfare. The reason white women even went to feminism was because black men had rights even before white women did. So you're up here crying and painting yourself as a victim, and you're not. If you don't like child support, when are you going to go address white men who made the child support laws and enforce them, mind you? So when are you going to take that child support battle to white men, or are you just going to sit on panels crying like a bitch and being a victim?
I don't owe no child support.
I can't stand you. Stop
If
playing.
you didn't get child support, then the statement wasn't directed towards you. But there's a man up here, a struggle bandit, who I know mentioned child support. He just mentioned child support. And he's the one who said that I'm lying. I don't lie, actually. Nobody put you out the home. And if you did get put out the home, you were weak and ineffective and expendable and no use to her anyway. So either way you pitch it, the bottom line is the problem is you. As a group of men, why the hell would you allow somebody else to put you out your home if that's where you want to be? Oh, yeah, because you're weak and expendable.
Your turn.
Yeah, to what Chris was saying, that was kind of my point. I wouldn't say they're weak and expendable, but I would say that at the end of the day, I would say weak. That it is a weakness. I'll agree with the weak part. At the end of the day, to get pushed out of your home, a woman can't do that. So then your qualm is not with women. Your qualm is with the men who have the power to put you out your home, because no woman has the ability to do that. And although we can agree that physicality is not the end all be all of personal relationships with women, at the end of the day, we know that physicality does matter, and that for a man to be removed from his home, he either has to choose to walk out or somebody has to have the power to put him out. And so then your beef becomes with the people who have the power to do so, or with yourself for choosing to leave.
Chris,
And
who
not
put you out
women.
your home? Chris, who put you out your
Who
home?
talking about? What?
Who put you out the home?
No. Nobody put me out of the home. I'm talking about historical facts that happened.
Yeah,
I'm
who
in my
did it?
home.
Who did it? Was it the women? Are you saying that the women did it or the cops?
What I'm saying, put me out of the home. I don't mean putting me out of the home, making me homeless, but making the home.
I know that.
Hostile.
I know that. Who are you blaming for it? You blaming the cops or the women?
No. What I'm saying law, public policies. Okay,
Nigga, don't start that vague shit, nigga. Is it the cops or the women?
Bro, you can't live in a house with a woman who doesn't follow your orders because she believes that there's somebody out there that can save her, bro.
So you blaming the women.
We don't argue about this bullshit, man. Everybody knows that this shit happens all the time. When a man and a woman is having an argument, and the woman. No, I'm not blaming the women. I'm saying
this. Oh my God, nigga, I can't.
I'm not blaming no woman, bro. I'm talking about public policy, and you talk about women. I keep saying we need power. The first thing I said when I began this conversation is that black men in general, we need power so that we can control the outcomes in our communities. And that's what we've been fighting for, and it's been
So
going on
you're
for decades.
so
So this is
public
nothing to do with
policy.
women.
Oh, so
Law,
the Congress is the law. I got you. Well, your shit is bugged up, real bad.
and somebody call me weak. Weak for what? What do you mean? I'm giving you scientific, empirical evidence, and you're saying weak. No,
You're saying that the law is written against the man to the point in which it's like easily utilized by the woman to kick him out the house. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And I just want to know who enforces the laws, because a law without enforcement
So you
doesn't
need
mean
to. So
anything.
it's issues with the letter of the law. Like you need to be a politician or something.
Bro, I already know that already. That's not a fact. And
they were confused, I guess.
Now, yeah, I have a solution to it. I'm involved with a group of people that are building a nation. I'm involved with a group of people that have their own codes of conduct. We don't have this conversations about women wearing weaves and whores and all this kind of stuff that you're having. This is popular opinion, mainstream opinion. It doesn't affect me. I'm having this conversation because Irene made a comment about hypocrisy of men, and I'm telling you, that's not the only factor. There's other factors that you're not including. You're omitting those factors, and you want to put the blame on men. It's not. You got to deal with it on the macro.
Well, I do. Now, I will say this. I think that women have their own level of accountability, but I think ultimate accountability in my eyes, because I have a traditional view, falls with men, because you guys are the leaders. Just like, as a mother, ultimate accountability, like my kids are responsible for their own behavior, but ultimate accountability when one of them is moving funny is with me as a parent, right? If my whole household is out of whack, ultimate accountability falls with my husband, right? So I think there's always somebody at the top of the food chain. And I think a lot of times, because a lot of men were not raised with learning how to bear the burden of being ultimately responsible, then when you say men are ultimately responsible, they're like, oh my gosh, you're blaming me. And it's like, I mean, yeah, kind of, if you want to put it that way. But the reality is you can't say that you're a leader and then not want to take leadership responsibility, which means that you're responsible for what happens when people are under your leadership. So as a traditionalist, right, believing in traditional male and female hierarchy, it's valid. Even when you say social policy, men create social policy. So it's a conversation for me, and I agree with Cynthia on this. I don't understand a man coming to a woman and having a conversation about social policy when men enforce and overarchingly create social policy. They have the most control in that sphere, not women. So at the end of the day, even if those men are acquiescing to women, your beef is always going to be with other men. And I find that it's frustrating when men have issues with how other men are moving and expect for women not to use the power that's given to them by the men who have the most authority. It's like, if you want women to adhere to your overarching authority, then you have to make sure that there are not men who can usurp your authority, because no woman can usurp a man's authority on her own. It requires the backing of another man. Like how chicks will hide behind their boyfriend, like call somebody a name and then hide behind their husband or boyfriend, because she knows she can hide behind you and you can take care of that problem. That's what you're saying. When you say social policy, you're saying women are hiding behind male policy.
Irene, you are hiding behind rhetorical arguments here, because
how is that rhetorical?
You're having a rhetorical argument. You saying
that's not
hypocrisy.
Literally the truth.
Hold on, Irene. The conversation is.
I want to take it one step at a time, because you keep saying things that don't make sense. Are you telling me that public policies are not overarchingly created by men, and that men do not have the most social and political power, or just talk political power in this country? Are you saying that men are not the majority of our representatives?
Irene, you got to let them say the whole thing, and then you could.
No, I want because he's starting with, you're making a rhetorical argument.
I know he's starting with some shit you don't agree with completely, right?
But it's not about my agreement. Some things are true and some are not.
It ain't even fact, right?
And so I want him to explain this. You said I want to ask you. You said social policy is part of the problem, correct? Yes or no?
I didn't say so. I say public policy, Irene.
Okay, public policy is part of the problem. Public policy is created by politicians. Is that correct?
Yeah. And
Most politicians are male. Is that correct?
they're not all males. But
No, I
hold on.
said most politicians are male.
Okay. Most politicians are male, and
Okay.
most politicians
So wait.
are.
And in
Look,
social policies, no, just follow me here. Most politicians are male, and most police officers, right, are also male. Is that correct?
most police officers in America are white males. Okay,
Okay,
go
and
ahead.
most sheriffs are male, right?
Most police officers, sheriffs are white males.
Okay, that's fine. And so and policies are enforced, right? Those statutes and laws are enforced by sheriffs and police officers, correct?
Most of these policies are enforced.
I
Most
got
public
the
policies
point.
are enforced by white males. Correct.
Okay, and most judges are male, correct?
Most judges are white males.
Okay,
Oh my
so at the end of the day, if you have a problem with the policies and the enforcement of the policy, who is your problem?
We already
Hypocrisy is
established
not.
that.
No,
We
I just want to know, who is your
Basically,
problem? No, who is your problem? You just named who it was 15 times over.
I already told you the
Okay,
issue.
I just want to know what about that is rhetorical. That's all. I just want to know what about that is rhetorical, because that was my only point.
you
But
you gotta
carry
let
on.
him finish his whole thing.
I'll tell you why it's rhetorical. You live in America, and you know we live under the system of white inferiority complex. Okay. And you know that this is a daily occurrence, whether you're a black man that is working in the corporate field, everywhere you're working, you experience this issue. It's a power tussle. So that should already be a point that you know.
White men have an inferiority complex, but it's black men who are constantly talking about how white men are oppressing them. You're the
No,
ones talking about white men took you out the home, white men won't let you do this.
Cynthia G, if you want to have a conversation,
You're the one constantly talking about how disempowered you are and how inferior you are. So what makes you think you got an
Yeah,
inferiority complex? You're
if y'all know,
projecting.
if y'all know he's not gonna say nothing, if y'all know he's not gonna say nothing, then let him finish. He ain't gonna say. If he ain't gonna say nothing, he gonna say nothing. Go ahead, finish,
yeah,
bro.
you can't preempt me and keep talking over me and act like I don't have a point. I already made my point already. You're making a rhetorical argument.
Go ahead, bro. Say that argument you saying.
You are omitting the major cultural factors that create this subculture that you call hypocrisy. It doesn't exist in the vacuum. Simple and short. It is created.
How are they omitting it? How are they omitting it?
Omitting it because they keep trying to find who is the problem. The problem is not men or women. The problem is the elite that is running the system and imposing using military rule. Now, can we fight that? Yes, we can fight that. We fought that before.
And are those men overwhelmingly?
Yeah, but black men have fought white
I just want to know, are they male or female?
No, they're
Overwhelmingly.
dudes. They dudes.
I know,
He already
that's what I'm
established that.
saying. And that is I don't, that's why I don't understand why this is a conversation.
No, it's not a conversation because you are conflating issues and making false narratives. You're not
I
dealing
feel
with
like you don't know the definitions of the words you're using. You still haven't gone, you said it's rhetorical. It's a rhetorical argument. I don't know. I feel like you're saying that, but you don't.
You know the answers, and you keep making these arguments based on false presumption.
You said it's not men or women, it's the elite. And I said, but what gender are the elite? And they're men. So why do you keep saying it's not men or women? Like, no matter how you spin this, no matter how you spin this, it comes back to men. No matter if we bring it to the micro or the macro level, it comes back to men. The whole issue is men. It's male hypocrisy. It's male control over each other. It's men. It's men. It's men. Just own it. Own it.
No,
and fight it out with the. You guys know how you do. Like, do what men do. Fight it out. Duke it out. Let the best man win. I don't understand.
Irene, women. Listen, women exist behind the scenes and they influence a lot. Listen, they got a lot of sublime control about when it comes to developing these men too. So you can't just say it's just men that's primarily the problem. Women do a lot of things through proxy. Like they commit a lot of violence through proxy. Like if a woman six the cops on a nigga and he gets shot, can you mute up, nigga?
Facts.
Chris, mute up, Chris. I got you. Mute up. Like I'm saying, women do a lot of things through proxy. They throw rocks and they hide their hand. Okay, the development of children is one of those things that drive people crazy, and nobody looks to blame women for that problem right there.
Wait, are
So
you saying children are a problem, or what's the
no,
problem?
I'm saying that these some of the crazy people in our society, a lot of women raised them. Okay, so
But who
women
who
do.
lets what kind of man lets a woman raise a
Hold
child
on,
without his
no,
guidance?
but I'm not absolving men of responsibility. I'm
You
saying that
can't, because
women.
they have the
I,
ultimate
I know that.
responsibility.
I know that. I'm saying that women partake in this joint heavy. It's just that when women do it, nobody knows how to classify it. Nobody even thinks to blame her because women are protected. They're seen that they got intrinsic value in any society. So when a woman does something bad, everybody just kind of like, well, it's just a girl. But when a man do something, nigga, you to blame for everything. You see what I'm saying? So when my thing is, you got to be keen on identifying when a woman is behind the scenes pulling strings. That's what I'm saying. So all of these, even these politicians that you guys are arguing about, they all have wives, and their wives influence some of their decision. Period.
True.
Yeah, but who does the enforcement and the execution?
Let the men.
Okay, so at the end of the day, it just comes back to that. And that's my whole
you
point.
have influence.
However women are moving, we can't move any way without a man to do the heavy lifting, because y'all have the power. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can try to be as out of pocket and backward as I want, but my husband or the men around me have to allow that, enforce that, support that, protect that. So I don't know why we talk about it's like my kids. Some people have bad, horrible, naughty kids, right? Their kids are tearing stuff up, smacking people, all that. Yeah, the kid is bad. The kid is responsible for not being out of control. But who is protecting the kid and letting them run wild? The mother. We're not going to be like, well, just hold the kid accountable. Don't even talk to the mom. No, we're going to go to the parents and be like, what the hell is wrong with your kid?
You talking about
right?
kids and
And
adults
so,
now. You're going
yes,
too far.
and I'm going, no,
It's too
I'm
far.
bringing it up. I'm
Are you a
bringing it
kid?
up. I'm bringing, you know what? The
Are women
power
kids?
dynamic. I'm going to tell you what's the same, because a lot of people think that they can push me off my square by saying, are you comparing women to children? Yes, I am. I'm saying that I'm saying your physical strength over a woman is just like my physical strength over a child.
We're talking
Your
about
power
your
over
mental.
your power over a woman is just like my power over a child.
Irene,
that
no.
is why
Irene.
rape is considered
Irene,
such a
women
serious
are
crime.
not kids
That is
mentally.
why if you punch me in the face versus if I punch you in the face, I'm going to end up on the ground passed out somewhere, and you're going to look at me like I'm crazy and probably slap me when I hit you, because it is different. Now, I'm not saying women are children. I'm saying the power dynamic between men and women is very much like
physically, but I was talking about influence, and women are not children
but
mentally.
men
you are an
first
adult.
of all, okay, wait. And ladies, don't get mad at me, because I already made a video about this. Women are literally, and no offense to y'all ladies, we are crazy. We are hormonal. Wait. Let me finish. I don't mean crazy. Stop.
You're pleading the insanity argument. No, you're not going to do that.
No,
you're fine. You're not crazy.
Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying
God.
insane. I'm not saying insane like 5150.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. Let me finish. What I am saying is any man who has a wife, like my husband, right? Any man that has a wife knows that women go through hormonal changes several times a month because we pass an egg on a regular basis. No grown man who has any sense or a backbone, is letting the way a woman moves dictate his behavior. Now, a woman can have influence, but a woman can only have so much influence as a man is weak. Right? A man can choose to listen to a woman, or a weak man can be manipulated by a woman. But at the end of the day, it's his strength or his weakness that is the problem, not the woman. Any man that knows a woman knows what our nature is. Our nature Our nature is to be loving, to be compassionate, to get up in arms when things make us uncomfortable.
Whatever.
Our
No.
nature is to rest in our femininity. Our
Cap.
nature is to pass eggs and create babies. Our nature is not to be bothered with the rest of this stuff. So if you are a man
Irene.
and a woman can crawl up in your ear and make you do anything, it's because you're weak. And the
Irene.
problem is not the woman and what she's going to say, because a woman's going to say
Every
what she's going to
man.
say. The problem is a weak man who can't differentiate between wise counsel and just liking
Jesus
somebody's vagina.
Christ, bro.
If
This chick used to.
vagina gets you
She
so out of
pleads
your realm,
insanity.
no, if
Yes, she
vagina gets
did.
you so out of your realm, what I'm saying is every
You're
man knows a
trying to
woman.
absolve yourself of
Oh my goodness.
responsibility. Yes, you are. You're trying to absolve yourself of
No,
all
because I'm not
responsibility by
saying women.
pleading
No, no,
insanity.
no, 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 no.
Yes, you
I
are.
Women
never
do.
said
You
nobody could
funny.
go through my channel. Hold up. Nobody could go through my channel and see all the videos I've made holding women accountable and say that I don't hold women accountable. What I'm saying is it doesn't matter how much I hold women accountable because y'all are ultimately responsible. Period. It doesn't matter how many women crawl in a man's ear and tell him anything, because no grown man is going to let a woman dictate to him what to and to not do. Period. I don't dictate anything around my house. I don't know any whole man out here where I could get up in his ear and he might want to listen to me, but at the end of the day, he's going to do what he wants to do if he has any strength about him. So it does not matter.
You
No
think
man,
that all
look,
men is just mentally? You think all men is mentally ready to deal with anything? Listen. Every nigga ain't super nigga. Some niggas is a little weak. We all know that. You know what I'm saying? So what you chicks do is you target the weak ones and then you try to blame. Oh, it's all men. Listen, don't date weak niggas. At least a nigga that you feel like you could control. And a lot of y'all do that because y'all wanna have control in the household. At least that's what I'm hearing. So of course there's gonna be. Listen. If this problem was just like in a macro, like okay, maybe 10-20% of men is weak, then it'd be like whatever. That's society. But when it's like 80%. Okay, now the women have to have some blame and responsibility in that. You can't just say, "Oh, you a weak ass nigga because you let a woman tell you some shit." Like you can't just do it. If it was like one or two niggas, okay. But if it's
so you're
80%,
saying because the majority, you're saying because, are you saying?
Listen. Women are being helped. That's what dude was saying. They're being helped by other dudes. I agree with you on that. But to say that, listen. It's like the amount of fathers that's not in the home is drastic. So it's not simply just like there's going to be one or two criminals in any society. But if 80% is criminals, then there's got to be a problem with the structure. Okay, it's like if you take a classroom full of kids, okay, and there's like there's one or two knuckleheads that ain't make it, they dropped out. Okay, boom, that's them. You could blame them for that, them kids. But if 80% of children are dropping out, the problem is the school and the teachers. You get that? Now in the black community, you got 80% of dudes that's not in the house. So that's not the black men as much as you want to say.
Whoa, are you trying to tell? So that's why I said I go back to, so are black women the leaders? This is what I asked you at the beginning. Who's the leader?
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, you are. That's what you're saying. You're saying if the men, wait a second. You're saying if the men are overwhelmingly screwing up, it must be the women's fault. I'm saying it's only the women's fault if we're in charge of you.
No,
if we run you, if we dictate you, if we lead and cultivate you, then it's our fault. Then it's our fault, right? Then it's our fault.
No,
but women, it just accept accountability.
This is what I'm saying. Okay, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Irene, can I ask you a question real quick, if you don't mind?
Can I let Black? I think it's supposed to be Black Prince. Is it? Can I let him speak? Because he's been trying to come up for a long time, and I've been having trouble adding him. What
I
are?
have a question for you though.
Okay. Hi, Black Prince. Or Black Pre. Can you unmute yourself? Are you able to? He may still be having problems. Go ahead, Chris. Oh no, there he goes. Hi.
Hello? Y'all can hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah, go
ahead.
Oh,
damn, finally I found the right switch. Could we just identify our terms? Like, what is the purpose of leadership other than mission accomplishment and troop welfare, right?
She don't do specifics. She
Okay,
speaks
okay,
vaguely.
wait. No, don't tear her down right now.
I mean, that's what she does.
Okay,
though.
wait.
All she's been doing.
Dude, stop deflecting. Chill.
All right.
All right, look. What is the mission? To get our young black men and black women into a position of prosperity. Where's the rest of the instructions? We don't have that. We don't have any kind of codified moral guidance to protect black men, to protect black women. So what I'm seeing right now is our lack of morality, and morality is a tool of social cohesion. Black men don't respect anything that can't whoop their ass, and black women are more duty-based. They're deontological, and black men are consequentialists. Why? Because everybody knows that you have to protect a woman. You have to protect the females in the community because they are the bottleneck in birth and the foundation of the prosperity of the home. Black men, on the other hand, what I'm seeing is that we're being left out to dry. We're living our lives the best that we can. All black men, period. All black men are in survival mode, either financially or philosophically. And we don't get out of survival mode until we reestablish our own foundation and itemize what is important to us and find a black woman, preferably, to guide us through that struggle.
Preferably.
So, bro, you saying the same thing I've been saying all evening, bro. I had a question for Irene, right? She's talking about leadership. For example, I'll give her an example, right? If I tell my girl, would you sign off your Instagram, Facebook, social media, because that's a distraction in our relationship.
That's a bit too much power, though.
Hold on. I heard this question because we know that social media plays a great influence in a lot of young people's mind. I'm not going to use old people's mind because I'm 80s baby. Would you think that would be fair to do in this day and age, to tell somebody to sign up social media as a way
Your wife?
of leadership? Girlfriend.
Your
I'm not
wife?
even talking about wife.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about wife.
No,
Yes,
I
yes,
think
the wife.
somebody you don't think is worthy of being your wife, you should not be instructing her to do anything.
Oh my God.
I think
No.
you're right. I think
Yeah, that's
she
a power
can.
move.
Just say wife.
I think
Just say
she
wife.
can respect. I think she can respect and choose and pick
meant
how
wife.
much of what you tell her to do she wants to follow. But if she's not your wife, if you haven't made her your wife, then you shouldn't even have the expectation that you will make a demand and it's always going to be followed.
If she
Facts.
won't listen to you as a girlfriend, why would you make her your wife? Period.
Okay, first of all,
She didn't even
That's
reply.
not-
She didn't even get rid of her social media.
Whoa. You don't have
That's weak.
children. You don't have
That's mad
children, do
weak.
you? Wait a second. You don't have children, do you?
Hell no.
Okay, so if you had a
There you go.
daughter, you would tell your daughter that just because she's dating some guy that she should be obedient to him?
What?
You would actually tell your
Duh.
daughter to follow the instructions of a
Why
random
you
man that
keep
she is
equating
dating?
kids to
Daughter
adults?
clause.
No,
You
I'm
equating
Daughter
saying
clause.
I'm
to
not. I'm
adults.
talking about a grown daughter. You know, we can have adult children. If you had a
Oh my God.
daughter, you would tell your daughter to be obedient to a man that she is dating. You would not tell her to be obedient to her husband.
If her boyfriend don't like her showing her ass on social media, I
No, you changing the
would
subject.
No,
advise her to not have it.
he never
moving the goalposts.
said anything about inappropriateness. But
Oh
if
my
you
God,
take
what
a
are we
girl,
talking about? Here we go with the
well,
bullshit.
I'm just saying he never said that. But
That's
even
what
if
he's
you're
saying,
talking,
though.
wait a second. Even if you're talking about inappropriate behavior on social media, my first question would be, why would you be in a relationship with a woman, going back to the double standard, who was showing her booty on social media?
You probably
You
didn't
shouldn't even
know.
be in a relationship with her in the first place to have the
He probably
conversation
didn't know,
about taking
Irene.
her behind off of social media that way.
Can I answer your
But your
question? You
double
asked.
standard does not get you to understand that, going back to my original point.
Can I answer your question? If I had a daughter, right, I would vet her boyfriend. I would put the boyfriend through a vetting process. And if he passes the value system, moral codes, being compatible with my family hierarchy, I would delegate authority to him to be able to lead my daughter. That would be my answer to you.
Look,
You know,
that's
wait,
not how.
wait,
Let me tell you
in
something
all
right
honesty,
now.
wait.
In my family, where we actually have male authority, Nobody plays those kind of games.
Okay.
The men in my
Hey,
family, the men in my family lead the women in my family until those women are married. Period. No man from the outside is going to come in and dictate anything to a woman in my family. If anybody's going to come to her about something that needs to be corrected, it's going to be a father, a grandfather, a brother, an uncle. It sure as heck is not going to be somebody she's dating. So for
yeah.
me,
Irene,
your
I'm
family is a
there.
Yo,
family that I would never want anybody I care
in
to
all
go
hon-
marry
Irene,
into,
wait. In all
because the
honesty,
responsibility, the
you work.
responsibility to lead
Irene,
women, wait a second. When we're talking about male leadership, the
uh-huh.
responsibility to lead women is up for the men in the family to do until that woman is married. And a lot of us
Irene,
don't know that because we didn't grow up
under
in families
supervision.
where male leadership was
You
exemplified.
cannot switch
But I'm
my
going to
words,
tell you right
Irene.
now,
In all honesty,
no
in
woman
all
in my
honesty,
family is raised
hey,
to listen to
That.
a boyfriend. She wouldn't have
No,
to
I'm
because
not
there's too
forcing
many
in
men
all
in her
any
family
knowledge.
who've got that covered.
wait. In all
No, I'm saying
honesty,
under
any man
supervision.
who
That's what
raises
I
their
said.
daughter right, any man who raises their daughter right is going to, she's going to run the show anyway. A lot of dudes don't even want to deal with a woman who has a good relationship with the father because the father has standards and the daughter knows those standards. So it's a moot point.
Correct.
You're not going to be able to dictate a relationship between a boyfriend and a girlfriend if like you don't. I mean, if you there, you there. You know what I'm saying? If you're there,
Under
if
my
you're a father
supervision.
figure, was that
I said under my supervision. I made that statement. I said under my supervision. Yes, under my supervision because he would
bro?
not do anything I would not do.
If your
Yes.
You're
Why not?
thinking a
if your
grown man is going
supervision
to
is good,
submit to
you
you?
won't have to. If
Yes.
You're
if your
thinking that
supervision
a
is good, you
grown
won't have
man
to.
is going to submit to you.
No, not
A
you're
grown
supposed
man is going to do
to.
what you want them to do. You're going to go
Get his
to a
ass
grown
beat.
man who is not a part of
If
your family, and you're going to go, okay, you can have this
I
much delegatory authority
Okay.
over my daughter. And he's going to go,
Okay.
yes, sir, I'm going to do that. Like, not no. Come on, let's
If
have
you
a
Irene,
realistic
if you
conversation.
look,
No,
if he's a good
no,
father and he
sir.
gave his daughter the social capital, masculine social capital, she's going to scare off so many punk niggas. It's not going to even be funny. That's
she's
that's
gonna
just a
listen to
fact.
me. Yeah, that's a fact. The fact is that the daughter is going to lean towards the father that is protective and wise. It's that simple. And if a boyfriend comes along and he doesn't fit that paradigm, he's not going to fit in. So this is a rhetorical argument.
Okay.
No,
Again,
you don't know what rhetorical means. I don't think you know what ethos,
Yeah.
pathos, and logos are. You're just throwing out
Yeah.
freaking stuff to
Rhetorical
say it.
means that it
But
doesn't matter.
no,
I'm going to say no. You don't know what a
okay,
rhetorical argument. You know what? I'm
I
not going to do
do.
this. But this is what I'm going to say.
Ladies,
This is what I'm
hey,
going to say.
can I?
What I'm going to say. What I'm going to say is this. At the end of the
We
day,
want to
you
settle.
are proving my point, which is that first and foremost,
What
I
happened?
would, what we advise my sons is that a woman that has things in her life that require that level of correction, where you have to black out whole parts of her life because she doesn't have it together, is probably not a good mate. So you wouldn't be dating her anyway. So when you're like,
Cat
if I go to my girlfriend and
smashing.
I have to
Wait.
say, no, this is how our household is run. I mean, even with my own husband. Absolutely not. There's nothing in my life where he had to come in and say, oh, this has to completely stop. Because if he saw something in me that was so inappropriate, he felt that it had to be completely and utterly ended, I would have never become his wife. And the same
You
thing
might
with our sons.
You know
We
what?
teach our sons that women who lack self respect, you care for them as far as like you protect them, you care for them as far as you don't take advantage of them, but you don't make them your girlfriend. You don't think that they're wife material, right? You don't want to have to do all that. You want to go for somebody who's been raised with with compatible values to yours, who's choosing to value herself without you teaching her to value herself. That's the job of her family. That's not the job of you to do. Now, some people may choose to do that. I'm not saying if a person's broken, don't dust them off and try to help them. I'm saying that
Irene
that's
with it,
not
man.
how my boys are raised. So maybe you were raised different and you'll get into a relationship with somebody who's an Instagram or Facebook thought and then have to tell her, baby, you got to pull your Facebook profile down because you're whoring yourself out. I'm saying, well,
using
then you're going to get everything
hypotheticals.
you deserve. I'm saying a man who does that gets everything
Irene,
he
we talk
deserves
about
out
the
of that
American culture that
situation.
we're in.
And it's these
No, Irene,
men.
we
Wait,
not
let me
talking about
finish.
American.
It's
Mm-mm.
these men. It's these men who will pick a woman up who has all
Bugging
the
out.
qualities that make them horny, but none of the qualities that they really want in a wife, and try to
That's bullshit
reform
too.
But
her.
men
And
have
when she
That's
men,
doesn't,
bullshit.
and when she does not
but men have split
reform, they have
personalities though.
something nasty to say.
Bullshit.
I don't understand that.
Bullshit.
Look, but men
It's
have
Oh, that's
split
bullshit.
personalities when it
That's why
comes to
you guys are
sexuality.
complaining about child support and women who are pretending to be something they're not.
Okay.
man,
Because
got
what
to
I'm
be
saying is
Instagram
bullshit.
hoes. We
What's
try
bullshit is
we
for
try,
you guys to be out here
Wait.
complaining about the results of picking women carelessly and then
The
tell
nah.
me I'm
consequences.
on some bullshit
You
because I'm
tweeting a
calling it out.
lot of shit.
Come
You
on
saying a
now.
Irene,
lot.
Okay.
Come
You
Okay.
on
all
now.
over
talking
the
about
place,
Y'all need to
baby.
Irene.
stop.
You
You
all
guys
over
Irene.
the
have to
place.
stop.
You all
I
over
agree
the
You
with
might
place.
Irene.
go.
I agree with Irene. Look, the thing is, the only problem with what she's saying is that she doesn't understand that promiscuous girls, they put their sexuality out there, and it becomes like a challenge to overcome. Like your goody goody sons might want a bad girl one day. And they might be head over heels in love because she's putting it on them, and they getting whooped. That's just how it happens. Like I think men and women are the only species, like opposites attract in that way. A man has to actually find his equal when he's ready to find his equal, but he is going to find himself a nice little Tatiana
It's a
that throws
fact.
him up against the wall, high school bully style, and take his goodies from him. And he's going to be breathing out of his mouth. His nostrils are going to be flaring up. His
You
pupils
just
are going to
watch.
be dilated. And you can't debate with that. That has nothing to do with logic and reason. It's just that she put it on him with that good good. And bad
Okay.
girls know about that good good. Good
Yeah.
girls, y'all like football players. Y'all take y'all books and y'all put the books over your titties and you go from classroom to classroom like a superstar running back, and y'all don't stop until y'all get to the end zone and get your
Mm,
education. Y'all
mm.
desexualize yourselves. Y'all put yourselves out of the market. Y'all turn into wallflowers, and then here comes Tatiana with the pumps and the big boobies and the stuff, and she's like a mountain. She's like a challenge to overcome. That
And this is what
That's
I'll
his way.
say. Any man who makes a visceral choice like that, then everything that you get as a result of that, don't be on YouTube talking about I'm MGTOW now wanting to complain about it. That's
wait.
all
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
say.
that's
No,
Then
no, no, no.
you
yeah.
accept full responsibility for your
True.
choices and don't complain about it. But the thing is,
We agree.
and this is what I'm talking about, the double standard. Men want to
Hmm.
acknowledge and engage in those behaviors, and then when it
Uh,
goes south, they want to have a problem. It's like,
absolutely,
think about those problems before it goes south. Once you've done it, then it is what it is. You accept the
absolutely.
consequences of your actions.
That it's just
That's a
here's a
fact.
prop.
I
Here's
agree.
another problem. Here's another problem. Right now, sex is the only proof that a man is living his life right. You get it?
Well,
Sex is the only real proof that a man is living his life right. That means he's being validated. That means he's being caressed. That means he's being nurtured.
I don't
So
know
we
about
kind
that
of
though.
we're over. No, no, we put sex on too high of a pedestal at this moment. So we need to deconstruct what we really need out of a relationship. Do we really need a commercially attractive woman rather than a beautiful woman with a beautiful heart? And that
Li-
is like some next
oh,
level maturity
listen,
shit.
dude, listen. The dude was talking about if a chick got a social media that you did not know about, and she's showing
I know he
herself on.
didn't say that. He didn't say
No,
Well,
that.
but I
I
would question
assume
why you
that you
wouldn't
did
know
not
about
know
your woman's
about it.
social media and why you wouldn't drop her like a bad habit once you found out she
Who
was
didn't?
hiding some crap.
Listen. Like I said, say the dude didn't know, right? Okay, and he tell a chick, she tell a chick take it down. Now he's exerting his dominance, his leadership by telling
Yeah.
her to take the pictures down. Now, if she
Wait.
declines, well then she don't want to submit and she don't want to follow, and that's a problem. But like I said, she has to qualify to be a wife first. If she won't even listen as a girlfriend, she's definitely not gonna listen as a wife.
Well,
Keep it
that's
keep it
that's
being.
Fact.
Yeah,
that's true.
that's
But
what he's talking about.
Facts.
but
What you need to be talking about is if it was an unknown social media page, why you would even be trying to correct somebody that's hiding stuff.
I
Like,
mean,
I would just get rid of her. Like, what in the
yeah,
Okay,
world?
well again,
why
that's
would you want to
common
police her
You have
sense.
a
social
whole
media?
you have a whole secret social media page. What am I
Yeah,
doing with you
That's
anyway?
that
This
sounds
can't
like
like I don't even
stalking.
understand. And this
yeah,
is
yeah,
why
yeah,
you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
end
You
up
right.
in these child support, drug all over,
Yeah.
baby's mom won't let you
Right.
see your kids, all calling
If
the
she
cops
was
on
a
you
secret
situations
hoe,
because
Yeah.
when I talk about the red flag of it all, like I just can't. Like I'm
no,
trying
no,
to
no,
make it all.
you're
You
right.
guys are trying to make things
If she
make
was a
sense that
secret
don't.
hoe,
Like
if she was a secret hoe, then you're right. If she was
Yeah.
hiding it from you because she wanted to, act like she was a good girl and all
Okay.
that, then yeah, you're right. You should dump that chick. But like I said,
What's the
hey, if she won't even listen to that, then phew, good luck to
Yeah,
get
Irene,
her.
I'm not talking about a thought or hoe on Instagram. I'm talking about regular people that go on social media and binge off of it, and those things affect relationships.
But
Some relationships, most relationships, and I'm saying is, do you in your own feminine mindset, right? Because you project yourself as a feminine woman, right? Do you think? I ask that question again. Do you think is appropriate for a woman in a relationship to get off social media?
I think as a married woman, if my husband said, shut your YouTube channel down right now, don't clutch your pearls, ladies, I would shut this whole freaking channel down and I wouldn't miss a beat.
Why
But a
though?
boyfriend,
that's
no.
because she got a mission to
Because
keep
I,
her
because
family
I don't,
together.
because I'm gonna
why
tell you
would he
something.
tell you
I
to
don't
shut
care
it
about
down?
YouTube or any other social media platform as
Mhm.
much as I care about my family and what's going on in the real world. It doesn't matter to me. So
Why would he tell you to
if
shut
it
it down
came
then?
down,
That's weird.
and my husband was like, I don't want you doing this, or I don't want you doing that, or I don't want you wearing that, then I'm going to listen to him. That's my husband. But as far as somebody I'm dating, I wish you would. Like, I
Irene,
might do it out of respect for you, but you should never have the expectation, because first and
Yeah.
foremost, the privilege of being able
oh
to
my
dictate to me
God.
is for a husband, not for somebody I'm dating. That's for my husband.
Okay. So if you put your if y'all was in a situation, a dangerous situation, you would want your boyfriend to intervene for you, right?
If
Good question.
Yes.
something
Yeah,
happened,
but he can't
Yeah.
tell you nothing. If somebody
no,
tried
I
to
didn't.
check, oh, no, if somebody tried to check you and your boyfriend ain't saying nothing because that you're not my wife, you wouldn't be tight.
Well, this is what I'll say. This is what I'll say. There are definitely times a woman can ask a man for something, and that man's going to feel like, you're not my wife, so you're
Oh
wanting
my
too much.
God.
No,
You're not
you.
Oh
my
my
wife, so
God,
you're wanting too much. But
Irene,
I'll
you're
say
doing
this.
a
I
lot.
will say this. I don't think when it comes to protection of women and children, that whether
Okay.
you're sleeping with somebody or in a relationship with them determines protection.
Oh
Protection,
God.
Protection.
protection is something that
Wow.
men should give, period, to women and
That's the
Oh
children.
whole
my
purpose of
aching
being a man in the
ass. I
first
know you
place.
didn't say that shit.
Yeah,
So
Well,
because it's
gentlemen,
true. Because it's
gentlemen, that's the
true.
purpose of being a
And this
man in
is
the
why you
first
guys will
place.
never
oh
have a country nor an organization, because
Wait,
countries protect everybody, whether they like them or not. Men protect. It's not about if you're getting in the draws. It's not about if that's your
protect,
kid.
but
It's your
and what
protect
job.
and
but what
provide.
women do? What's women's job? What's their job?
Yeah.
Uh,
What's their general job? To
everything
nurture,
that's
to
General.
smile
everything.
at
Wait,
niggas?
wait, 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 wait. Let me
What the
solve that. Everything that falls under life
nigga? I'm
mate.
calling the cops. I see a woman in trouble. I'm calling the cops. I ain't jumping in this. You
Well,
bugging.
that's them. That. You're talking
You
about
bugging
stranger
out.
danger type situation.
Yeah,
You
that's what
you
she's talking
started.
about, bro.
No. You started the conversations like if I'm your boyfriend and we walking
No,
down X
but
Y Z.
that was the
No, no, no,
premise.
no. The job of a man is to protect and provide. It's the oldest
Yeah, not
contract
for
in the world.
random
The thing
hoes.
is, you have the body type
They not
to exert physical violence on behalf of everything you love.
not
If you
for
don't protect her,
random
you don't love her.
hoes. Not for random hoes. You don't
Well,
protect and
then tell her
provide
she
for
a
random
random hoe
women,
from jump.
huh?
Then tell her she's a random hoe from jump.
And she is a random hoe from jump, nigga. Like, or do women just are women giving you like random
Then
pussy?
we
Are they
we're
randomly nurturing?
disagreement.
Is random women cooking and
No.
cleaning for you?
Okay.
No, a random woman ain't
Next
doing that
question
shit, but
is.
they want random
Next
protection.
question
Now,
is.
call the cops. That's a societal problem.
Okay,
If she's getting,
brethren,
if somebody tries
brethren,
to hurt her, you see, you observe, you be a good citizen, and you call a
brethren,
cop. You don't
Can
jump
I
out
ask
and
brethren,
you
risk
a
your life for
brethren.
just
question?
for some broad, nigga.
I want to know what man. I want to know what man would feel good about himself to be with a woman
I'm calling the cops.
who's with him, and another man be able to come and violate her. Like, what kind of good feeling?
That's
Like, yeah,
exactly
I
the point.
feel the men I know would likely protect her simply on the strength. I'm not going to be in a situation where anybody thinks they could just come up to me and violate a woman who's in my
Yeah,
presence. Even
yeah.
if for you
Irene.
to even think that she's under my protection, and for you to
You
do
don't want
that
to
is
do
a
nothing for
problem.
your
So
boyfriend,
I'm
but you
just
want your
wondering, what
boyfriend.
kind
Sometimes
of
you got to catch an ass
detachment
whooping.
from your own manhood could you be
Irene.
operating from to be with a woman who's
That's
with you and allow her
Uh-huh.
to be violated,
yo.
and walk away with
He
your
was
Yeah,
manhood
that's
he
intact?
was bouncing back and
homosexuality.
forth. He was
Thank
bouncing
you.
back and forth between Ho and the girl you was on a date with, and that's what's wrong with his statement. If you even
I
on a
know.
date with a woman and the situation arises that you have to step in front of violence, to protect her. This that's just what you got to do. That's the part of the
I said
social
random
contract of
hoes,
being a
didn't
man.
I? Didn't I say
No,
random
you
hoes?
said date. And I have a
no,
question.
that was
I have a
my
question.
question. Huh? Yeah.
I have a question. Why would you
Mhm.
be on a date with a random hoe in the first place?
See, you're mixing it now. I never said that. Like I said, random hoe. She made the statement that
Why
men
would
are
you?
just. Hold on, bro.
Why
She
spend
made.
money?
Hold on, bro. She made the statement that random men are just supposed to protect and provide, expect nothing, no pussy, nothing. And I'm like, nah, I'm not protecting or providing for no random woman. No, I'm
Well,
not do.
no,
I'm gonna
but
call the cops, nigga. I see a
no,
nigga. I see you checking a woman. I ain't gonna do nothing. I'm gonna call the cops.
yeah, I
That's
can
what I'm gonna
relate
do.
to that. But like, we didn't start the conversation with
No,
stranger danger.
That's what she did.
We
I
started
know
date.
that.
Look,
I
someone said date, and that means eating. That means talking. That
Uh
means
huh.
I might have to see you later. That's not a random hoe. A random
I
hoe is
know
like,
that.
yo,
I
yo.
know that.
So let's
Let me
define
bring
our
up the date. Let me
terms.
bring up the date thing. Listen, she said that she don't. She said if she's dating somebody, she won't even consider like dropping a social media or whatever. She won't consider doing nothing for that guy
That's
because they just dating, right?
I
So I was
think,
like,
and
then, what if the guy just decides not to do anything for you? What if a nigga tried to? What if
Okay,
a
then we
nigga?
won't be in a relationship
Well,
at the
then
end of the
there's
day.
that.
But I'm
Well,
going to
then
tell
there's
you
yeah,
that.
something. More
got it. So, I
importantly, what
mean,
this is telling me is that you guys don't know what it means to vet a person. Because before
hmm
you're
Cap.
crawling into bed, before you're calling somebody, oh, that's my man, that's my woman, these are all conversations that should be had straight up. This is who
hmm
I am. This is who you are. These are my expectations. These are your expectations. This is how I vibe, my strengths and weaknesses. What are yours? Like, these are all conversations. I don't know. How are y'all moving out here? This is why you guys keep ending up in weird situations, backward ass
I feel you.
situations. Because
I agree.
before you pick a partner, these should be conversations that you're having. You guys are going out, picking up anybody that's attractive off the street, some random stranger that you have not
That's how it
vetted, know
starts.
nothing about, getting into a relationship, and you start having all these micro problems because you really didn't get to know the person because you were so wrapped up in your own lust, you couldn't
hmm
function properly
Not
to properly
socialized.
vet.
Starts
A
with
lot
the
of the stuff
looks.
you're bringing up shouldn't even be a conversation in a relationship
Uh,
because
I'm,
these are
I'm,
all things that should be discussed prior to you getting into a relationship. How do you determine it's a person who you could be in a relationship with without having some of these conversations? You're talking
mm,
about asking people to drop stuff and do this and that. That could have all been discussed ahead of time, and you don't even have to be in a relationship with them at that
yeah.
point because you recognize that the boundaries that you're going to want for her and the boundaries that she has for herself are not compatible. Ergo,
Mhm.
you guys do not belong together. But you're talking
Mm.
about trying to
Unless
flesh
she
this stuff
submits.
out where you're in a full
Ah,
fledged
no.
relationship. I don't understand this level of irresponsibility.
Okay.
Like, we are adults around here. And this is why we all,
I
as
thought y'all
men and
children
women,
then.
keep getting into compromising situations
Okay.
with people we don't like. Women run into the abortion clinic 15 times a year because
Leave.
they have had a baby with a man they don't like. Men up in child support court because they have had a baby with women they don't like. People's cars
We're
getting
Irene,
not.
keyed,
We're not
people's
Irene,
faces
racist.
getting bashed
Irene,
in,
can I
all
point
this
something out?
weird stuff going on in relationships because you guys are not mature enough to vet and figure out, is this even a person I need to be rocking with or vibing with?
I,
Like,
I want to
Facts.
add
everybody
to
who's
that.
attractive, you don't have to
That's
sleep with them.
100% correct.
Everybody who is intriguing for conversation does not make a good partner. I
Socialize.
shouldn't
Fact.
have to sit here and say this. We are all
Everybody got
adults. Like, are we not
You
being
don't
taught this
have
by our
to.
parents? Is my question.
She's right.
okay.
She's absolutely
Okay.
right.
I'd like to agree with Irene a bit, but could the brother, could you say what's on your mind?
Who me? Oh,
Yeah.
every time Irene brings up her husband, she always has to make a disclaimer. Like, okay,
That's
if my husband
personal.
told me to stop making YouTube, ladies, listen, disclaimer, I'll just stop right now because submitting to a man is such a taboo amongst y'all, even in a husband a wife dynamic.
Y'all don't have anything to submit
But
to.
I'm talking about her though.
You
I'm
don't
talking about
have
her though.
nothing to
Yeah.
submit to.
Hold on,
Y'all
hold on,
Okay.
want
hold on. I'm talking
submission,
about her
but
though.
you have nothing
Hold on,
to
hold on, hold
submit
on,
to.
hold on, new girl. I'm talking about her. Like, she got a husband. Her
Don't
husband
My
Her
name is
name,
apparently.
there,
her
and
name,
you
her
don't make
name
it
still
is
don't
about
be
her.
her.
Her name is
disrespectful. You've been
Sierra.
disrespectful this
And
whole
yes, I
time.
give the disclaimer because everybody knows I hold very conservative
Listen.
views. It can be triggering. And I give
Ain't
the
that a
disclaimer.
problem?
Wait a second. I give the disclaimer in a joking way,
Young.
as in
Cap.
trigger warning.
Oh,
I'm about to say something that may be triggering, but it is what it is. We're
cap,
still having
sweetheart.
the conversation.
Oh,
And at the end of the
Young.
day,
ooh,
at the end of the day, the double standard and backwards behavior and flip-floppy behavior of men is why women are not comfortable, even
oh
so
my
many of them, with the
God.
word submission, no
Yo,
less
y'all need to
That's
get it
actually
true.
Hey,
together.
engaging
Y'all
them.
need to get it
And it just
together.
is what it is. It just
I have
is
a
what it
question. I
is.
That's
have a
true.
And that,
question.
and I
That's
Yo,
true.
understand that, and I
Y'all need to get it
understand
together.
that. And
yo,
honestly, we should respect that. And the goal should be to fix the climate so women can feel comfortable falling into their femininity. And so women do not have to feel like they have to have
Young.
their guards up because men are going to
Can I
move funny
can I
and
ask
they
Young East a
aren't at
question?
liberty.
Agree.
They are not at liberty to simply rest as
Young.
women.
Y'all bugging
Women
out.
don't
Young.
feel
Young.
comfortable
That's
with
true.
that. And I don't think we
Go
should
ahead, Black.
I don't think we
Yes.
should try to make it like it's a
That's
bad
true.
thing that women don't feel comfortable
Okay.
with it. It's
Okay.
reasonable that
She
many women
pressed
I
don't
because
agree
she
feel
with
has
you.
to make a
comfortable with it.
disclaimer. That's
Can
Wait,
all.
wait, wait.
can we
Can I
can we
let's
please allow Sierra to say, because she just came up. I'm so
oh
sorry.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with what you said because it's true. All these men keep talking about submission, but what do you have to submit to? What are
Can
you
I
giving a woman to be
Y'all was
can I
submitting to
comfortable to
niggas
can
submit
and
I
to?
caves
Okay,
before we
listen,
had
I let you
technology.
speak. I
Well,
let
You
you
don't
please,
need
speak.
please,
You
money.
run over
please,
wait, wait.
everybody else.
young
Let
E,
me
she
My
speak.
just
bad, my bad,
came up. Just
my
let
bad,
her
my
talk,
bad.
please.
Go ahead, my bad.
Look,
You're asking for submission, but what are you giving a woman to submit to? You don't want to do anything prior to them being your wife, and you're not even marrying. Like
I don't
you're
even know
not
what
even
you're
getting
talking about.
married, but y'all
yeah.
expecting submission from girlfriends. From
Do,
girlfriends.
do
Like,
Yeah.
you
does that
want
even
do
Yo,
make
you
yo.
any
want
sense?
protection, sweetheart? You want protection? You want a man to protect you? You want a man to
That's
hold you
not
and
how
shit?
I
protection
don't
works. If protection
Thank you.
No,
worked
That
that
is
way,
not how it
America
works.
wouldn't have a
A
standing.
man
Wait,
has to
y'all
be
all bugging.
protecting
Y'all
wait
all
a
women. A
bugging.
man
second,
doesn't have to
because
be
No,
all
protecting
this
women.
does is prove
yo,
how
okay.
detached in the Black community we are from what
let him
leadership
answer,
is.
Wait.
Irene.
Do
You're
you
Listen to
know?
supposed to
Irene.
Wait a
protect
second,
all
please.
women.
We have a standing army. We have a police force, and they protect everybody. They protect
Oh my
criminals.
God.
They
Yeah.
protect people they like.
That's
They protect people they don't. We talk about so-called white supremacy, but you know what? The military goes
um,
out and protects all of America.
Irene.
yeah.
Why? Is it because all Americans are
Wait.
submitting to the American
Irene.
system? Is it because all
Irene.
Americans follow all the rules? Is it
Irene.
because
Oh
all
my God.
Americans
Irene.
listen
She just
every
Let
started
time
him
they're
going,
told to
bro.
speak.
do something?
She ain't
Let me
saying
Right.
finish.
We
nothing.
not
No,
Right.
No,
no,
you're
no no
it's
no. I
not.
interrupting,
wanna
and you
It's
haven't
like I
been
said
because,
saying
what
wait a
nothing the
second,
entire time.
please.
You haven't been
It
saying
is,
nothing.
wait 1 second, please. It is because protection is not about the person being protected. Protected is to show that you have power, that anybody that falls under your realm will be chastised or not chastised according to your whims, not according to the next person's whims. That is why people provide protection, because whether that person is right or wrong, that's not your decision to make. That is my decision to make, not yours.
Uh,
That is why we don't go around letting people, any random person, hit our kids. If my kid needs a spanking, I will do the laying on of the hands. You better not lay a finger on my wife, on my child, on my family, on my sister. Why? Not because
facts.
they can't be wrong, but because you sure as heck aren't going to make
Exactly.
that choice. That is the
Exactly.
decision that I make. And
Exactly.
I do not know
Yeah.
why simple concepts of protection
Okay.
and its purpose is to enforce
I'm
your
I'm gonna
power.
Can
tell you
I
Not
why.
because the person is worthy, not because the person hasn't done anything wrong, not because the person listens 100% of the time, but to establish your
okay.
boundaries. Now, if you don't have boundaries as a man, then so be it. But if you
Okay.
don't understand the general rules of protection that the world operates under, that allow organizations and societies and nations to function, then that is very disturbing. And that is why we can't really get anywhere as a community, because we don't understand simple concepts that make a community functional and make our people protected and make people not feel that they can come in and just flex with us any kind of way. This is ridiculous. This is
Exactly.
ridiculous. That's a whole nother
Irene.
conversation I don't want to get off into, because it gets me so upset, because it makes me feel
Okay.
like it's
don't get
hopeless
upset.
for us to ever
Can
actually
I
build anything, because we don't
Irene.
can
know what building things looks like. We want to get caught up in these stupid YouTube conversations about submission is how
wait
you
wait
get protection
Irene,
can
and
don't
blah,
can
don't
blah,
wait
get
wait
blah.
too
can I
And
can
it's
upset.
I can
just
I
not,
offer
and I'm not saying
Exactly.
that acquiescence doesn't get a woman more protection,
can
or that carrying yourself like in a very feminine way doesn't make you more apt to be
listen.
protected. For sure, when I go
Wait.
out in my dress with my daughters and their bows, all men have pretty much the same response, right? They're
Okay.
opening doors. They will not cuss in front of us. They will not use profanity. So there is truth to your behavior increasing your protection. But protection from men is provided as a strength that they are flexing, not by the worthiness of the person being protected. You can
Back
protect
because of
somebody in one
sexual
breath
act.
Okay.
and then take them home and
Can
spank them like I'm
Oh
talking
my
about a child
God.
in the
can
next
I
breath.
offer some? Can
The
I
two
offer
things
up?
are not related.
Can I
She
offer
got
up
I
some
it
have
up.
to offer
clarity?
this up,
Trying to
brother,
get
real
it
quick.
out. She
Please,
got it up.
please let me interject
Mm.
because I hear dudes like this all the time, and it's maddening because it's just not a good look. As a man, protection is inherent. That is something you're supposed to do as a man. At the end of the day, you can't sit here and tell a woman you want her to submit to you because she's supposed to bring something to the table. You're supposed to provide the table for her to sit at.
Facts.
Period. This is what I'm so tired of hearing. Sexual access, if that's the only way a woman or somebody that you're supposed to be vetting, because again, Irene's 100% right. How many times have we talked about that, Irene? The vetting process. If you're just jumping in bed with anyone and you're going to complain about the outcomes of your actions after you've jumped in a bed with somebody, and that goes for the man and the woman in this aspect, it's all your fault. At the end of the day, men set standards. Period. We set
Facts.
standards. We create structure. That's what leadership is. At the end of the day, we are supposed to protect. We are disrespected, and if black men are feeling disrespected by our men, by women, it's because at the end of the day, there's things that are flying out of our mouth. You're basically sitting here saying, I'm not protecting some random hoe. How the fuck you know she's a hoe? Just because you see
Exactly.
some woman on the street doesn't make her a hoe. That's number one. Number two, as a man, it is your obligation to protect the women and children of your community without question, because that respect goes not only to the women, but to society as a whole. It's just not a good look to be on YouTube saying, I'm not protecting no random person. It just doesn't sound right.
Well,
You sound
Thank you.
crazy. Sorry.
That's
Thank
too
you.
bad that you
wait,
feel that way, my guy.
wait. All right. Let me just offer up some clarity. Young East, can I ask you a
Sir.
question?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay to submit to your own values?
Sure, whatever.
So why would you be with a woman that you don't value?
Who said I was with a woman I don't value?
Random whole
By your speech,
conversation.
bro. By
It's
your
a
own
random
speech.
hoe,
Yeah,
nigga. There ain't no
look.
woman I'm
Random
with.
hoe.
Okay,
He
all
don't
right,
even
Why
know
are
what
you
look.
he's
messing
talking
with
about.
random
He
hoe?
don't.
Yo,
He be talking.
let's get down to base principles. A value is something that you want to earn or you want to keep. A virtue is the way in which you keep it, and keeping your values involves protecting it. Now, my thing is, black men have conflicting values about what they want in a woman. Do they want the Madonna or do they want the whore? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we can't lie and say we don't value, Thick Thigh Thelma with Tatiana and stuff. We can't lie about that anymore, but we have to understand why, because it's a,
Yeah.
it's a primal urge, it's an animalistic desire. But when you want what's best for you, you could love your woman and still be chasing after her like a horny teenager because she is the ultimate representation of your values made manifest
Okay.
on earth.
A random woman in the street, you don't know if it's a good or bad girl. She's neutral to
It
you.
would-
She could be a hoe. She could be a killer. Okay, but it's not. As your job as a citizen, you should just call a cop. That is not your wife. You don't dive in like you fucking
even
Superman
if we
and
if
save
we
some
gave you
Who
broad,
says you
nigga.
have to get
even if we
physically
gave you
involved?
that point, even if we gave you that point,
But hold up,
the
real
conversation
quick, brother.
started out
Y'all
on
be
a
on that
date.
Real quick,
Captain
brother.
Save a hoe
Who
shit. I
said?
don't
It's
do
not
that,
even
Who
about
nigga.
the
said?
Captain Save a
Please
Day.
Yeah,
listen.
you
I'm
do
Listen to
it
your
out
logic,
here,
bro.
nigga.
I'm
Who
talking
said
about
you have
Captain
to
Save
get
Your Wife.
physically involved?
I'm talking
It's
about
really
grown
funny.
men
No,
down
what
there.
he's saying, honestly, what he's saying is that the police, that
Who
the
says you
men
have
who
to
do
get
have
physically
control, the
involved?
men who do have power, have established a protection system for everybody that is under their control. And since he does not have anybody who is under his control and he has no power, he
Cat,
turns to the authority that has been put in place
cat.
to provide safety and security to their people.
Those
And this
shots.
to me is
Yeah,
a
I
very
think
sad and disheartening argument.
That
But
was
you know
shots,
what the
Irene.
hell? Carry on, sir.
He
Can
has
we
no
can we
idea
please
what
hear from can we
that was a
please hear
lifeline.
from Love
Real quick,
Yourself,
Irene. Can
please?
I say this?
Can
Can
I
I
say,
say this
man?
real fast, Irene?
Can
Then
I
I'm gonna pass it on.
Okay, go
Can
ahead,
I say
twin.
this
And then
real
I'd
quick,
like to hear
Irene?
from
And I'm gonna
Love
pass it
Yourself. And
on.
I think poor
You about
Sierra
to
keeps getting
save
cut
them
off.
hoes.
She has
Go
something to
ahead.
say.
Why do you constantly, and I hear dudes who sound like you say this all the time. You're not jumping in getting physically involved. Who said you gotta get physically involved?
That's
Your
what the
presence
scenario
alone,
was.
hold on, let me finish. Your presence alone can make somebody stop.
Oh, come
Your
on.
presence. What do you
Oh,
mean?
God.
Your presence alone can make somebody stop doing what they're
Wait,
doing.
look, no, we cannot go around like we're talking about
Shit,
intervening
Irene,
into
mute
a
me. I'm
personal
out.
couple's a fight, or intervening if you and your girlfriend are approached by a stick-up kid. There's two different things. Like it's two different mentalities. Somebody might get hurt, but I don't think a lot of dudes are going to be well served by intervening into a couple's argument all the time. Yes, call the cops. Yes, step back. But if it's the person that you're with personally, she merits a lot more consideration. She merits a lot of more risk to your personal well-being. So let's have that line in the sand, because we can't go back and forth between stranger and date and wife.
But he thinks you're supposed to protect strangers. You're supposed to risk your life.
But that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is, as a man, it's your responsibility. If the men in our community took it upon themselves to protect women, period, black women wouldn't be the most unprotected women out here. But black men, y'all pick and choose instead of stepping into your leadership as a man. The men set the tone for how other communities and men come at us. Other men and people would not come at us if they knew there would be retribution from the black men in our community. But
in the same way that, when you call the cops, there will be retribution against a criminal. And I think the problem I'm starting to hear is that the women have an expectation that in our community, the same systems that other men have put in place to protect what they control, right? That our men would put in place similar systems so that you wouldn't have to call the cops that another man has established, or the enforcement of law that another man has established, but that as a community, we would establish men who, just like the men who are police officers, come and step in and put themselves at risk to protect complete strangers, that in the black community, we wouldn't have to go to, as the Chris said, the mostly white male police force to get that we would know that within our community, that the men have made a choice that they are going to establish protection, right? So that we don't have to have a conversation about if people aren't going to be protected, that within the community. And I think this would be a great stepping stone to us learning how to build an actual community that is respected, where police officers and officials and individuals from other groups don't feel that they can come in and violate the people in our communities because they know we don't have a structure where we protect our own. It's interesting to me, we can understand the concept of protecting a stranger when that establishment is put together by somebody else, but that it's beyond our comprehension that is something as men in the black community, that's something we could do for our own. I think that's very interesting. And I wanted to hear from Love Yourself, because she's been so patient.
Thank you, Miss Irene. Thank you, family. If y'all can hear, can y'all hear me? I just want to say something real quick, and then I want to ask a question, and I'm going to get off the panel. I'm not going to be on too long, but I remember at age 19, I remember I was in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, and if those who know what a Tenderloin is, there's not really a good place to hang out if you're young, your little girl. I was going to go cash my summer job paycheck, and I felt like I was going to get robbed. But then a couple of brothers who saw me knew who I was because they knew my mama. You know what I'm saying? They called my mama Crazy Pumpkin, because my mom was one of those types of she'll fight anybody, dudes, females, anybody, And so they was like, oh, nah, I know her. Man, where your mama at? And that's when the people who's gonna rob me turned the other way. There was no officers that came to do it. It was no need for no cops. We had our own people who would check their own. So I was fortunate. I could have died a couple of times. I was fortunate to have the men in my life that was from the hood, that was from Fillmore, that was from Thomas Paine Square, that was from OC Projects. I had them. When I had the relationship with my daughter's father, and he was doing things to me so rude and abrupt, you had brothers as short as 5'2" who was ready to do something to that brother. Couldn't wait. And did I complain? Nope. I just wanted to find a way to get him out of my apartment and move on. But my question to you, brother, is here's my thing. I believe brothers like you, when you keep saying hoes and thoughts, that's what y'all are into. because that's your easy way of saying, I'm not going to protect this easy access that I was able to get. You know, she fast, she hot, she this. That's what I want because I don't want responsibility to protect. I don't want responsibility to make her my wife. I don't want this responsibility. That's who guys who say things like this, they look for holes and thoughts. That's what they want. And that's why it's so easy to mention holes and thoughts because that's what you want. I don't care if they're black. I don't care if they're white. As long as you get easy access without any work, that's what you rather do. And beyond that, your return is nothing. Just like white supremacy. You love them because they give you nothing. And that's what you do. My question is, brother, when are you going to be able to get up and stop making excuses and just go ahead and learn how to say, listen, as a man, I need to start teaching these young boys how to become responsible men as they get older. I need to represent these young men and stop trying to tell women how to be women and what to do because, you know, I'm questioning my own manhood. When are you going to have to start doing like what Twin Man and them are doing? When are you gonna start picking up the male children? I have a son, okay? His father's dusty. Let's just be real. Father don't want no parts of the baby, okay? He'd rather be with some Asian fat, overweight chick. That's what he want to be with. Any kind, any race. She want too much from
Love
him,
yourself.
so-called.
You're
So
cutting out really bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna get off. I just want to know when are you going to take the responsibility of the rest of the brothers that's trying to take responsibility and just be a man? That's all.
Well, I'm just going to say this right here and right now. This generation is just done. It's messed up. We haven't been socialized to value women the way we want them to be valued. And I think it's better to just start off with the next generation with a clean slate and try to tell men right from wrong. I'm a Gen Xer. I'm 47 years old. And it's like I said before, men are in complete survival mode right now. Whatever they did, whatever they do, they just learn how to suppress it and keep moving on. They chasing after easy women because easy women provide easy validation, and that's what they need at the present moment. It's like if you actually understand what's going on in a man's mind right now, you'll know that he has to do the work himself to get better. He has to take out all the toxic shit that's in his life. I ain't gonna say toxic masculinity or nothing, but hold
up, but bro, they make those easy ass choices and then complain about that easy ass choice that led to that really horrible decision and horrible outcome. Again, I don't look at women when I look at the status of the community right now. It's our fault. These women are acting in the way that they are acting due to what they see. They don't see themselves being valued. They don't see a bunch of black men wanting to get married. They don't see nobody wanting to start a family. They hear that, like dudes like this young dude up here talking, all these hoes, I'm just trying to smash. There's no building to anything.
Yeah. But
then they want to sit here and demand something.
But here's the thing, though.
You don't even have to go that deep. Let's just keep this very surface level.
No. Look,
can't
brothers
demand
are
shit
running.
as a man if you're not providing shit as a man.
Wait, okay. Oh, yeah, that's exactly. But that's when it has to get deep because now we're talking about socioeconomics. We're talking about jobs. We're talking about security. We're talking about a man who knows his values and how to protect his values within the home. So it's not a question of whether or not he's going to get up and see if there's something wrong at the door. We have to start from scratch, pretty much. Like, we have a problem with patriarchy, right? You know, like women have a love-hate relationship with patriarchy because patriarchy still means power. Patriarchy still means a reward structure for productive men. How do you throw that away? I haven't the slightest idea. There's a lot of men right now who are living in perfect partnerships with their wives, that the wife has a government job and they take care of the kids. Those dudes are living in silence. My thing is, speak up for yourself and tell the world, you know, it's if you love something, say you love something. I think we just need to stop with the negative media per se, and start rewarding the behaviors that build on trusting communities. Because like I said, men aren't raised to socialize. we're raised to trace after this alpha male status, this fictional depiction of masculinity that keeps us isolated, locked in, emotionally stagnant and stuff. The stupidest thing I could say is like, do something stupid with your girl on TikTok, do a relationship goal video, turn your love life into a work of art, and tell people about it. Because me and my brother, we wanted to interview a lot of these house husbands, but it got to the point where we was like, yo, man, maybe we need to put them behind a mask like they testified against the mafia, because critically speaking, it's wrong for a man to not make more money than a woman. It's wrong for a man to be
honestly,
submissive to.
certain stereotypes need to stop. This ain't the 1920s.
Yeah.
This ain't the 1930s. This ain't the 1940s, 50s, 60s, or 70s. I'm sorry. That's also another delusion that needs to stop. And everybody doesn't have the means to take care of a family by themselves.
That's true.
I'm just sorry.
And that's the second half.
The average American, not gonna even say black man, the average American makes $35,000 a year. Back in the 40s, that was a lot of money, and you could take care of a family. 2021, you broke, bro. Yeah. Just keeping it real. Depending on where you live, you're really broke.
I think that it is more economical to take care of a family on a single income. And it might require working like a job and a half, but I think it actually is more economical if the woman can stay at home, if she has skills, right? And also if money isn't being spent on frivolous things. So it might mean you're not going to have all the cable channels, or maybe no cable. Mm-hmm. Maybe you just spend time with your family. You know what I mean? It might mean that you're not going to get the latest iPhone, or you might have to, have a used car or take public transit. But if you have, I don't think people need a lot of money to maintain a household. But I do think that it does require a woman to have good homemaking skills. So I think if a woman that can cook from scratch can stretch a food budget much further. I think there are things that women can do to be entrepreneurial from home.
But Irene, how many
like I know
cook
I used to make petticoats because my daughters only wear dresses, and it's hard for women whose daughters, especially if you wear dresses in the winter, to find petticoats that are nice and heavy for winter. I could easily sell, petticoats at $60 a petticoat, and that's something I can do from home with inexpensive materials. So I think there are ways that women can contribute to the household while still being in the home. And I think a woman who has good homemaking skills, who's been taught that, and many of us haven't, can really stretch a dollar. And if you can, have a wife that can homeschool or that can keep your children at home, that can save money, and that can also give you a lot greater control over, the influences that your children have, which will help us rear better people communally. And I do want to address what Zach was saying about people take care of home and get dismissed because they're not building. The reality is, if you are taking care of home, if you're active in your home, you will build naturally. So for example, if you have children and your children are involved in activities, or you have children and your children are being homeschooled, whatever it is, then you're automatically going to meet up with people who are doing things in the community. You're automatically going to be building relationships through the activities that your family is engaged in. And you're going to automatically start being involved in those things. It's impossible to be an active participant in a functional home and not ultimately engage in community building, because that's going to come by measure of the things that you are going to be doing as a family. And, those relationships that you have, it's not going to be hanging out with your boys. Not saying anything is wrong with this, but it's not going to be hanging out with your boys necessarily so that you can go to the sports bar, and toss back a beer and enjoy a game. I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, but you might find yourself in other situations where, your child is, on the soccer team, and, they are doing like a fathers united sort of thing, or, and you start meeting other fathers who are really passionate about, mentoring boys, or making sure that active fathers are in the household. Or you might, get invited, if your children are being homeschooled, you might get invited with fathers, because I know Mr. comes, and every single day he's like, what did the kids do in school? What's going on with this? What's going on with that? And then that automatically puts him in a position where he ends up engaging with the men that are participating in engagement with his children, right? So I think, if you can't separate actively parenting and actively running a household from community building. That happens organically. So I don't really understand where you're going with that, Sack. But with that said, I do have some things I need to do today. But does everybody want to like kind of give their final word? Maybe we should start with Sierra, just because I'm so sorry. You've barely got to speak and since you've been up here.
I was just like basically disputing a lot of the things that I've heard the guys say up here, because a lot of all of this goes back to lack of leadership from Black men. Well, specifically in our community, lack of
No
leadership
leadership without
from Black
leadership.
men. I mean, that's the basis of a lot of the problems. And if you look at any other successful community of people, the men set the tone, the men set the standards, and that's what sets the tone for the community and its success. And we don't have that in our community because we have so much division and separation, and everybody's for themselves. So I think that a lot of this does come back to lack of Black male leadership.
Yo, Irene, I'm out. Thanks for having me up, though. She was fun.
Do you have any final words, Young East, before you go?
I just heard a lot of blah 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 at the end about
I
something I
can't
said.
stand it.
You know, I
Very
ain't got it.
childish.
Like,
Very
we're gonna have
childish.
to continue that later, Twin
Very
Man and all that.
childish.
It ain't childish. It's
It
like,
is
come on,
very
we
childish.
already had
Very
that. I already
childish.
talked about that, so I ain't even gonna
Very
do another
childish.
circle. But yeah. No,
You're specifically who
I'm
I'm
gonna be in
talking
the
about is the
chat,
problem.
Irene. So you know what I'm saying? Thanks for having me on.
Okay, thank you, Young East.
Okay. Let me bounce out next because I got to go to work soon. Um, Masculine social capital and socialization skills. If you don't give your son those two things, you're part of the problem, and that's all I had to say. Peace.
Okay, thank you. Chris, did you
All
have
right.
any final thoughts?
Well, yes, I've been trying to get online to respond to certain things you're saying, but final thoughts. First of all, Irene, thank you for hosting. The only reason why I got on your channel was because I believe that you are a woman that has displayed at times logical reasoning, eh, as opposed to just emotional ranting. I appreciate that with your conversations. Uh, with the topic of the conversation, the hypocrisy, I think there's hypocrisy everywhere you go. And if we want to get to the root cause solutions, we need to discuss real issues. And that I agree with you. Being a parent, being a serious member of society without being involved in the community or nation building is really not productive. And a lot of communities, Black communities in America, are not based on communities, it's just people. And the other thing I want to make comment was this whole protection thing. It also goes back to what I'm saying: public policy, communities. You can't protect something that you're not involved in. Most Black men do not see themselves involved. Like the dude said, we're in survival mode. Like, are you an American? Are you Black? Like, we're not even protected. So we don't feel like we're part of the community. So we don't feel like we need to protect everybody except our loved ones. That's just something that's out there. Last comment is we'll continue fighting. We know that the Black man is the most viable threat to the white inferiority complex all over the world. And of course, it's been going on for generations, and we just gotta come together and fight the battle. And like the dude said, maybe this generation is lost because the culture is just like degenerated. Maybe we'll start with the next one. Rites of passage for young boys. Those things could help. But I'm out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Love yourself. What are your final thoughts?
Well, can you hear me first? Because I know y'all guys were in and out.
Yeah, you were cutting in and out, but I can hear you right now.
Okay. Well, my last words would be, I just wish. I think where we got lost at is, a lot of women who were holding a lot of Black men up for standards, higher standards, were the main ones making it hard for young girls to grow up to become young ladies. And there's no such thing as a woman being masculine if she's been around a man who's bullying her out of her femininity submission. So my thing is, I think women should start teaching young girls how to become young ladies as they get older, and men their sons. They need to start or adopt some that young boy didn't have his father in the house, and there's nothing wrong with that woman. They always want to point the fingers at us for being single mothers, but we kicking ass as single moms, and that's not to be glorified, but the embarrassment is coming true. It's an embarrassment on a man who just bounced and left for no apparent reason. He had no reason to leave, but I wish the brothers would step up and protect the young male children, be there, step up, make sure he's okay. My son listens to a voice of a man, big time. If he's doing all that yelling and screaming, he's 3. But if he's doing all that yelling and screaming, a man saying, hey, my son, to stop and just look at him and listen, because that's what he's been wanting, and that's fine. But I just think men should stick up and yes, protection, but protect yourself. Learn how to protect yourself. The ones who's complaining, oh, we can't protect everybody. No, learn how to protect yourself. You're going around and you're acting like you are a like you're a victim all the time. Like you want to be just like women. We're easily targeted because you keep showing your victimhood. So my thing is, you guys pick yourself up and start kicking some butts and stop acting like a victim all the time, like a girly victim. And I'm out.
Okay, thank you, Love Yourself. Twin, what are your final thoughts?
I'm just tired of hearing dudes always wanting something for nothing. You don't feel like it's your obligation to do anything for a woman. You don't think it's your obligation to do anything for children. Only thing it is always comes down to is fucking sex, and it drives me crazy, Irene. It just drives me crazy. There's no building to anything more than just getting into a bed with someone. But then everybody wants to complain. And that goes for everybody who talks about relationships. Everybody wants to talk about child support. Everybody wants to talk about the single mother. Everybody wants to talk about what their man isn't doing. But no one's actually talking about building an actual family together. But I'm smart enough to understand that that's supposed to come from a man. It's not a good look, again, for men to be on the internet talking about what they're not going to do for women, what they're not going to do for children. You sound stupid. You look stupid, and you sound immature. Because at the end of the day, you're sitting here wanting something for nothing. As a man, you have obligations that are inherent to your gender. And as a man, you are supposed to provide, you're supposed to protect, you're supposed to set the standards for your community. We are not doing that on a collective level. And the only thing it's doing is hurting us in the long run, because this generation is lost. And at the end of the day, it's goddamn disgusting. I'm just tired of the bullshit. I'm just tired of it. You have a good night, Irene.
Thanks so much, Twin. Okay, and my final words on this whole thing. So I know that some of the men that came up, first of all, thank you to all the men that came up. I was happy so many men came up to discuss this. I was very pleased with that. And I was happy that there were many different points of views. I think, some of the men that came up were more controversial than others. I know Young East was very controversial to people. Chris was. But I think, although I did agree with many of their points, I think they also had points that were worth listening to. So I hope that we can, chew up the meat and spit out the bones. But I think everybody contributed something, including the ladies who came up at the end. And I really appreciate that the women really sat this one out and let the men pretty much talk for like the first hour and a half. A lot of times when we have panels and the women are up here, the men try to come up right away, and it makes it difficult because it derails the conversation. But we really had an opportunity to hear what the men had to say. And I guess what really stood out to me is, number one, that there is a double standard, that it seems across the board, men recognize the double standard. Even Young East, although he didn't want to call it a double standard, he basically admitted that the standard was there. The two, that dichotomy was there. So it seems like men are all very cognizant that the double standard is there. Some think that the double standard is problematic. Some think that the double standard, is appealing. I think that's what Prince was saying, to their baser natures. And it kind of is what it is. Some, like Young East, recognize there's a double standard, but they refuse to call it a double standard. Um, I think we can safely say that there is a double standard. And I hope, if nothing else, that men took from this that the double standard itself makes it a very difficult environment for them to garner the things that they want from women, for them to have a community where the type of women that they claim they want, whether they're openly exemplifying that or not, are even something that can be cultivated with any reasonableness, right? It's very easy to throw standards at women and to complain that women aren't holding certain standards. It's very easy to do that. But it's difficult to have the expectation of that being realistic when your proclivities and your behavior lean a different direction, right? People are going to pay closer attention to what you are doing than what you are saying. And behavior, whether men want to acknowledge that or not, means a lot. And something else I realized from this talk is that men are, and I think this is a modern phenomenon, a lot of men seem to be uncomfortable with what leadership means. They seem to desire acquiescence, submission, and even leadership and authority. But the burden that comes with that, which is responsibility, accountability, and taking ultimate, right, the ultimate burden when something goes wrong, or the ultimate praise when something goes right, those things are things that they really want to shy away from. Because I think, similarly to, and I know a lot of people don't like it when I make this correlation, similarly to being a parent, we want to think that we did everything right and our kids are just not being their best selves because of them. But the reality is, our interactions with them help cultivate that person. And so we can never look at a reflection, right? Which women are a reflection of men, children are a reflection of their mothers first and of their parents at the end. We can never look at our reflection and think that that has nothing to do with us. And I think a lot of men resent being at the top of the totem pole. They resent not having anybody to point to because the last finger gets pointed at them. And that's difficult. It's difficult to hear men say that, and they didn't come right out and say that, but they said it in different ways. Um, it seemed that there was the recognition that men had ultimate authority, but that ultimate authority was not something that some of the men could perceive themselves having. They recognize, like, I have to appeal to a higher authority, a higher male authority. And that higher male authority, in their minds, has more accountability and even deserves more respect than they do. That was something I really struggled with during this conversation. I felt I was going harder for the idea that they, as individuals and men within our community, are equally deserving of the same type of authority and should be seeking to implement those types of authority, and to keep hearing them wanting to appeal to political systems, to the police, to other men's authority. That was difficult for me to hear. I think Chris, I didn't ask him to do this, but he kept saying white men have this and white men have that. But then when it came down to, so then who's the problem? He couldn't bring himself to say that final time, the thing he had been saying previously. And so some of these things that happened in this conversation, it was really difficult for me. It was difficult for me because I know a variety of men and women are listening to these lives. And I feel sometimes, I really think sometimes, even though people are being honest, it can be discouraging, and it can it can do damage to what I personally want to promote when um, men come up and they exemplify some of the more base arguments and character traits that I hear women finding problematic, and that's turning women off from wanting male leadership, or thinking Black male leadership specifically is something that's valuable or attainable. And I wish that the next time I have a panel of men, that when you come up, you think that you are a representative of the collective. And if you choose your words wisely, you can seed hope and trust and positivity in the people who are listening, or you can revalidate some of the negative things people feel when it comes to Black men. This conversation was difficult for me. I felt frustrated in a lot of parts of this conversation. I felt discouraged by a lot of parts of this conversation, and that was very difficult. But I appreciate that the men came up and that they were honest and they were open, and we were able to disagree overwhelmingly with positivity. I know there were some parts where, that might have been lacking, but I think overall nobody stepped like all the way out of pocket. And I think that that's good, but I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. This was hard for me though. It didn't go the way that I had hoped, right? I'm not sure we're all walking away from this conversation with a stronger sense of, yes, this is going in a positive direction. I feel like a lot of people are walking away from this conversation like, yep, I knew it. This is exactly what I knew was going to happen. I don't know why Irene keeps trying to make sense out of this. I feel like a lot of people are walking away feeling like that, and that's troubling. But I hope, on the playback, you guys can sift through it and you can pick out the parts that are encouraging, and that as the men and women are listening to this, we can also pick out, maybe it's hard when you're saying it, but when we listen to it back, we might be able to see where our mindsets can evolve and grow and strengthen, and because we're all wrong, myself included, at times. A lot of times we have to step outside of ourselves to see the fallacy in our own logic. So I'm hoping some of that, maybe that's the growth that's going to happen. Like the retrospective look at this conversation might do people, both men and women, a lot of good. I don't know. Time will tell. We'll see. Right? We'll see. But I'm glad we had the conversation nonetheless. You guys let me know in the comment section your thoughts, okay? I'll talk to you later.